In a lavish, dimly lit lounge, a group of elegantly dressed men and women lounge on plush sofas, the air thick with quiet tension. A chandelier casts a warm golden glow over the room. At the entrance, a young woman with soft pink hair stands nervously beside a tall man in a black suit. All eyes turn as a voice breaks the silence. Mr. Bei Ming. The man, wearing a polite smile, steps forward confidently, his arm protectively around the pink-haired girl. His voice is steady, but carries a hint of forced ease. I brought my girlfriend here. Can you talk to me about cooperation? The girl looks up at him, clearly uneasy, sensing the strange atmosphere in the room. Their footsteps echo on the polished floor as they take a few steps inside. The girl's voice trembles, filled with confusion and worry. Xiaoyang, what are you doing? She grips her skirt nervously, unsure of what her boyfriend has dragged her into. Across the room, a man lounges lazily in an armchair, chuckling as he watches them. He raises a hand, amusement in his eyes. He just joked. Didn't expect this guy to actually bring his girlfriend here. The others in the room smirk, as if they're in on some cruel joke. The man in the chair lifts a cigarette to his lips, his tone turning sharp and mocking. Haven't you heard of it? The Shoe Corporation is about to collapse. Smoke curls into the air as the weight of his words hangs over the room, and the girl's eyes widen in shock. A man with sharp, striking features sits on an ornate chair like a king on his throne. The smoke from his cigarette swirls lazily around him as he leans back, one leg crossed over the other. His half-buttoned shirt reveals just enough to match his confident, dangerous aura. His eyes are cold, watching everything from the shadows. The camera closes in on his face, handsome but intimidating. A subtle smirk plays at the corner of his lips, and his piercing gaze reflects both calculation and amusement. Think. A single word echoes in his mind as he silently weighs the situation, clearly in full control. The young man who brought his girlfriend steps forward nervously, forcing a smile as sweat forms on his forehead. His voice trembles slightly as he tries to sound convincing. Sir, I'm sure she's still very clean. Even though we've known each other for more than a year, we've never touched each other. The girl stands silently behind him, her pink hair flowing softly, her face pale with unease. The girl clenches her hands near her chest, her shoulders trembling. She lets out a small, nervous laugh that fails to hide her fear. I'm afraid that thing is impossible. The light behind her casts a long shadow, emphasizing how fragile and trapped she seems in that moment. The man in the room raises an eyebrow, his voice dripping with mockery. What if she fixed it? The boyfriend, now desperate, forces a bitter smile and replies with a shaky voice. If you don't believe me, you can try it. The room falls into a chilling silence. Tension thick as smoke. A firm hand shoves the girl forward from behind. Push! The motion is sudden and rough, catching her off guard. Her long pink hair sways as the force propels her forward. Her eyes widen in shock as she stumbles, letting out a sharp cry. Ah! Fear flashes across her delicate face as her body instinctively tries to regain balance. The hem of her skirt lifts slightly as she moves, and strands of her soft pink hair whip through the air, catching the light. The room seems to hold its breath in that fleeting, fragile moment. The man lounging in the chair looks on with an indifferent gaze. A low, chilling voice cuts through the tension. So I will go out, you just enjoy it. His words drip with mockery, sealing her fate. She trembles as she's pushed closer toward him. The girl ends up on his lap, her body stiff with fear. His arm wraps around her waist, holding her in place with effortless strength. She clenches her hands against his chest, heart pounding, trapped in the embrace she never wanted. Tears shimmer in her wide pink eyes as she looks up at the man holding her. Her voice cracks, trembling with fear and desperation. She clutches at his shirt helplessly, silently begging for mercy. Her voice rises, shaking with anger and panic. "Let me go! You guys have no right to do that!" She struggles against his grip, but his strength overpowers her easily, making her resistance seem fragile. He leans closer, a cigarette dangling loosely between his fingers. He exhales slowly, letting the smoke brush against her lips as if claiming the air she breathes. She coughs, her words breaking apart between gasps. "I don't want. I will sue you. Cough, cough, you." His hand slides around her waist, pulling her in with a tight, possessive grip. "Dongling City is my area." His tone is low, heavy with dominance, as if the entire city bends to his will. His face hovers dangerously close to hers, a wicked smile playing at his lips. She stiffens, heart pounding, as his shadow swallows her small figure. The room feels smaller, the air heavier, like a hunter cornering his prey. A sly smile curves across his lips, his eyes glinting with cold amusement. "How do you sue me?" The words roll off his tongue like a cruel joke, dripping with arrogance. Her breath catches as she looks up at him, wide pink eyes reflecting both fear and confusion. Her mind spins in chaos. Who is he after all? Every instinct tells her this man is dangerous, far more than he seems. He leans in, eyes narrowing with a dark, almost playful expression. His smile doesn't reach his eyes, and the room feels colder, heavier with every inch he closes between them. His voice lowers to a whisper, smooth and chilling. "Now, if you can get out of this club, then I guarantee I won't touch you tonight." It's not a promise. It's a challenge. A cruel game with only one winner. She freezes, stunned by his words. Her lips part slightly, her heart pounding like a trapped bird in her chest. Escape? But how? Her wide eyes shimmer with the mixture of fear and the faintest spark of defiance. Her long pink hair swirls in the air as she spins toward him. The dim light of the room casts her silhouette against the man lounging casually in his chair, watching her every move with a sharp, amused gaze. Her heartbeat pounds in her ears. This is her chance to escape. She swallows hard, turning her head slightly, her voice trembling but determined. "Sir, are you going to let her go?" The words hang in the air, delicate yet defiant, like a spark in a room filled with shadows. Someone steps forward, voice cold and unyielding. "That is his decision. You should not interfere." The statement strikes like a warning, echoing through the tense silence, making her fist tighten at her side. Without another second wasted, she turns and runs, her soft shoes tapping against the polished floor. A stream of light spills through the open door ahead of her, painting a path to freedom. She doesn't look back. Behind her, he remains seated on the grand chair, his lips curling into a slow, calculating smile. His eyes gleam with something unreadable, as if this entire estate was nothing more than a game he's already won. Her breath came out in soft gasps. Phew, phew. As she hurried down the dimly lit hallway, the echo of her footsteps mingled with the pounding of her heart. Strands of her pink hair fluttered behind her, catching the faint glimmer of the lights above. She glanced over her shoulder, eyes wide but relieved. "No one chasing. It's so good," she thought, her lips curling into a faint, hopeful smile. "I've already escaped." The tension in her shoulders eased for the first time that night. Then her gaze caught something, the elevator on the far side of the corridor. The elevator. If I can just reach it, I'll be safe, she told herself, determination replacing fear. Her steps quickened, her eyes fixed ahead. Over there, she whispered under her breath, gathering the last bit of strength to reach her only way out. But as the elevator doors slid open, she froze. Inside stood a man and a woman, too close for comfort. Her heart skipped a beat as recognition hit her. Yan Tingting? Isn't she Xiao Yang's secretary? Why are they together? Shock rippled through her as her hand flew to her lips. She froze behind the corner, her heart sinking as her eyes caught the sight before her. The man and woman stood so close, too close, their silhouettes entwined in the dim light. Her fingers clenched at her skirt. Why, after all this time? Her wide pink eyes glistened with tears. Disbelief, pain, and betrayal rippled across her face. She pressed her trembling hand to her lips, trying to stop the sob that threatened to escape. Meanwhile, the woman leaned in closer to the man, her voice dripping with mockery. Xiao Yang, you still don't have a contract. Aren't you afraid that little rabbit will ruin your business? She teased, a cruel smile curling on her lips. He smirked, brushing her cheek with his fingers. Mr. Bei Ming always keeps his promise. He'll definitely agree to sign with me. Don't mention her anymore. The woman giggled softly, whispering, "Ha ha ha, you're so heartless," as their faces inched closer. She chuckled darkly, her tone filled with jealousy. Who told her to always act like a goddess in front of me? Now maybe she's the one being eaten alive like a chicken. Her cruel laughter echoed through the hall, while the man gave a low, uneasy hum. In the dimly lit room, the elegant woman in a crimson dress pressed herself into the man's embrace. Their lips met in a deep, possessive kiss, one that spoke of power and forbidden passion. Her golden hair glimmered under the soft lights, her hands clutching his suit tightly as though afraid to let him go. Just a few steps away, another girl watched, her heart twisting painfully. She covered her face, trying to hide the tears brimming in her eyes. "Damn couple!" she screamed in her mind, rage and heartbreak blending into one unbearable storm. But the tears refused to be her weakness. She lifted her head, eyes blazing with determination. Her once gentle face was now hardened by betrayal, her voice trembling yet fierce as she stepped forward to confront them. The man and the woman froze mid-embrace, turning toward the intruder. Anger flashed across the blonde woman's face as she hissed, "Who allows you to run out here?" Shock rippled between them, their secret moment shattered. The young girl's voice quivered, but her words cut like a knife. "Just because of a contract, you sell me to others? Why?" Her pink eyes glistened with unshed tears as she tried to stay strong, forcing herself to swallow the pain threatening to break her. His face hardened with frustration as he stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. "Anyway, you've seen it all. I don't have to hide it anymore," he shouted, his voice echoing through the tense air. His outstretched hand reached toward her, a mix of rage and desperation. But before he could touch her, she slapped his hand away with a sharp pop. Her pink eyes blazed with fury and pain. "Don't touch me, bastard!" she screamed, her trembling voice filled with defiance. He only sneered, grabbing her wrist tightly. "Want to run?" he spat venomously. "If you run out, then who will serve Mr. Bei Ming? This stupid woman?" His cruel smile deepened as she struggled helplessly in his grasp. Tears welled in her eyes as she twisted in his arms, trying to break free. "Let me go! Let me go!" she cried, her voice cracking. "Someone please call the police!"
But his grip only grew stronger, trapping her in his cold embrace. "Ah!" she screamed in agony as she bit down on his hand with all her strength, desperation driving her every move. Her body trembled, her breath ragged, but she refused to give in, refused to be powerless any longer.
Her eyes burned with fury as she slammed her hand against the glass, her voice trembling with rage. "This damn girl, how dare she bite him? You'll pay for this. You'll die for it." The air crackled with anger, and the tension in the room grew suffocating. Tears welled up in the girl's bruised eyes. Her lips trembled as she whispered weakly, "Help." The word barely escaped her throat, fragile and desperate, like a plea swallowed by the darkness surrounding her. Her body collapsed onto the cold floor, her face streaked with tears and pain. "Me," she murmured faintly, her voice fading into silence. The world around her blurred, her last thought echoing in the emptiness. Was anyone still there to save her? The woman tilted her head slightly, a sly smile curling on her lips. Her golden earrings shimmered under the dim light as she raised a delicate hand, her eyes glinting with cold amusement. "By the way she lost consciousness," she purred. "Take her to Mr. Bei Ming. He is still waiting." Her voice sharpened, slicing through the air like a whip. Her arms crossed in authority, and the room seemed to tense under her command. "Now," she barked, leaving no room for hesitation. The night sky stretched wide and endless, painted in shades of deep blue. The full moon hung high, glowing softly and casting silver light upon the world below. Clouds drifted lazily, as if unaware of the storm about to unfold beneath their calm gaze. Nestled among the trees, a modern mansion stood in silent isolation. Warm golden light spilled from its wide windows, cutting through the cool darkness of the night. Its sleek structure gleamed faintly under the moonlight, a quiet witness to whatever secrets it was about to hold. The pale moonlight filtered through the curtains, casting soft streaks of light across the room. Everything inside was still, too still. Shadows stretched across the floor like whispers in the dark, as if the house itself was holding its breath, waiting for what would happen next. A soft groan escaped her lips as her eyelashes fluttered open. The world around her was hazy, painted in cold shades of blue under the moonlight. She clutched her chest instinctively, confusion clouding her delicate face. She whispered faintly, her voice trembling. Her vision cleared and she slowly turned her head, trying to make sense of her surroundings. The chill in the air, the unfamiliar bed, none of it felt right. Her crimson eyes flickered with alarm. "This place is," she breathed, her heartbeat quickening. A small, uncertain smile tugged at the corner of her lips. It wasn't out of joy. Rather, it was the uneasy smile of someone caught in a dangerous web, trying to steady their own trembling heart. The deep voice cut through the silence like a blade. By the wide window, bathed in moonlight, a tall figure stood. His white shirt half unbuttoned, his smile dangerous and knowing. "Not running anymore?" he asked, his eyes fixed on her like a predator watching its prey. She lay helpless on the couch, her pink hair cascading like silk across the cushion. He leaned forward, his long fingers tilting her chin upward with an unnerving gentleness. The distance between them shrank, and the room seemed to close in around them. His power was quiet but overwhelming. Lying there beneath the pale moonlight, she stared up at the ceiling with wide, uncertain eyes. Her fingers brushed against her lips as if to steady the trembling inside her chest. "After all, am I still caught?" she whispered in her mind, the weight of her situation pressing down on her. In an instant, he leaned closer, his face mere inches from hers. His hand gently caressed her cheek, a touch that sent shivers through her. His gaze was intense, steady, unrelenting, trapping her like a butterfly beneath glass. She could feel his breath warm against her skin. His voice was low, almost taunting, as his sharp blue eyes locked with hers. "You say Dongling is your area?" he murmured, as if testing the boundaries of both her words and her resolve. Her heart thudded violently as his face inched closer, shadows and moonlight dancing across their features. Her breath caught, her lips parted, but no words came out. "Doubt?" he whispered, a hint of danger lacing his voice. The world seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them in a silent, moonlit room. His smile was calm, almost satisfied, while she lay still beneath him, her expression torn between fear and something unspoken. The tension hung thick in the air, every heartbeat echoing louder than the last. His weight hovered above her, their eyes locked in a tense silence. The distance between them was fragile, just one breath apart. Her heart pounded wildly, caught between fear and something she couldn't name. "Hold," her mind whispered, trembling. Her lips moved hesitantly, forced to speak the words she didn't mean. "I will serve you. I will actively serve you." But behind those wide, tear-bright eyes burned a spark of fury. "I will find a way to take my revenge, shameless couple. Just wait," she swore silently, clenching her fists beneath the sheets. Her face turned away, eyes narrowing with cold determination. In her mind, images of betrayal flashed sharply. The man she once trusted, now holding another woman in his arms. Their laughter echoed in her memory like poison. Hatred rooted itself deeper in her chest. "Drink it." His voice was calm, yet carried an undeniable authority. He stood tall, the warm lamplight casting sharp shadows across his features, his gaze fixed on her with unnerving control. Her hands trembled as she stared at the glass he held out to her. The crimson liquid shimmered under the light, an invitation wrapped in danger. "You," she breathed softly, her voice caught between defiance and fear. The room felt smaller, the air heavier, as her fingers brushed the cool surface of the glass. His hand tightened around the glass, forcing it closer to her trembling lips. "Drink it," he barked, his voice cold and sharp. Her eyes widened, filled with fear and helpless defiance. The dark red liquid shimmered in the light, like blood, like a trap she couldn't escape. The bitter taste burned her throat as the liquid slid down her neck, trailing down her neck like a crimson line. Her hands clenched tightly, the sound of her choked breaths filling the heavy silence. "Serve me," he ordered, his voice deep and steady, as though every word was carved into the air. He stood tall, looking down at her with a dangerous calm, the light casting shadows across his sharp features. She lifted her gaze slowly, her knees on the floor as he towered above her. The way he looked down at her sent a chill through her veins, a reminder of the power he held and the position she had fallen into. Her lips quivered as she finally spoke, her voice soft and unsure. "Will you really help me? I just want to confirm a little." Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes wide and glistening with a mixture of fear, hope, and something unspoken. The room was quiet, holding its breath with her. His expression didn't waver. His sharp gaze was firm, cold, yet undeniably resolute. "What I said will definitely come true," he murmured, each word carrying the weight of an unbreakable promise or a warning. "Serve," he commanded, his voice echoing through the silent room. Her thoughts whirled in turmoil, her heart heavy with rage and pain. Just for revenge against that shameless couple, I have to give up the innocence I've guarded all these years, she thought bitterly. Her hands trembled slightly as they reached for his shirt. Her eyes burned with determination and fury. More than 20 years. She whispered in her mind, "Is it worth it?" Yet even as the question lingered, she pulled at the fabric, an irreversible choice. The shirt slid off, revealing the hard lines of his chest, her breath caught in her throat. I have no longer way, she thought, her pulse thundering in her ears. To back off. The words echoed in her mind like a final bell, her gaze locked forward, the world around her blurring into nothing. The path she'd chosen was set. Her breath caught in her throat. But the single thought lingered like a whisper in the dark, trembling against the rising storm inside her chest. Her eyes hardened, though her body was still shaking. Without warning, his hand gripped her and pushed her down, his strength undeniable. Her wide eyes reflected shock and fear. "Don't challenge my patience." His voice was low and dangerous. "If you make me angry, it won't be good." "Let me go," she cried, her voice cracking with panic. The pressure against her made it hard to breathe. This man, if he keeps going like this, the thought clawed at her mind. He could kill me right here. Her wrists were locked tightly in his grasp, leaving no room for escape. The warmth of his skin contrasted the cold terror running through her veins. She struggled, but the grip only grew firmer. He leaned closer, shadows tracing the sharp lines of his face, a cold smirk curving at the corner of his lips. "Now you want to retreat," he murmured, his voice dripping with dark amusement. The room seemed to close in on her, every breath heavier than the last one. The scene is heavy with tension, illuminated by a warm, private light. A man, intensely handsome with dark hair and penetrating, almost violet eyes, looms over the protagonist. His posture is dominant, a clear sign of control. The protagonist lets out a sharp, surprised gasp. "Ugh!" As the man whispers a chilling finality. It's late. His tone is a mix of command and dark amusement, suggesting that whatever boundary was supposed to be respected has already been crossed. His face, shown in close-up, is a mask of calculating charm, a predatory smile playing on his lips, hinting at the dangerous intentions behind his refined exterior. He is the architect of this late-night confrontation, and the protagonist is caught in his snare. The protagonist, with striking pink hair and eyes shimmering with distress, is held captive in the man's embrace. The bright, stark color surrounding them highlight the emotional turmoil. A desperate, pleading voice escapes her. "Sir, I really don't want." Her protest is not one of anger, but of utter helplessness and fear, the true magnitude of the situation crashing down on her. The scene is saturated with her vulnerability, contrasting sharply with the man's calm, inescapable proximity. She is fighting a lost battle, her words fading into the charged atmosphere. The man leans in, his expression shifting from a seductive lure to one of pure, cynical arrogance. His words are a venomous blow, revealing the cold, transactional nature of their encounter. "Ha ha, with a meager 10 billion, that could get a precious thing like you." The casual, dismissive laugh contrasts brutally with the immense, life-altering price he has just mentioned. The protagonist realizes she has been bought, her inherent worth reduced to a shockingly high but ultimately shallow monetary value. This revelation solidifies the man's role not just as a captor, but as someone who views people as commodities to be acquired and possessed. As the realization dawns, the protagonist turns her face away, her pink hair spilling over her shoulder, her eyes tightly shut in a mix of regret and self-reproach. The earlier defiance is replaced by a profound, agonizing epiphany. Her internal monologue is a terrifying admission of her misjudgment. "I am wrong. This new man is the most scary person, who I should not..." The sentence trails off, the unspoken warning clear, who I should not have provoked, underestimated, or trusted. She finally sees the danger, not just in his power or wealth, but in the ruthlessness of his character. Her body language and expression portray the overwhelming sense of terror, trapped in a situation where the man she is with is not a savior or a lover,
but a terrifying and dangerous master.
His voice was low, firm, and without hesitation. Later, become my woman. The command hung in the air like a chain, pulling the breath from her chest. She stared back, caught between disbelief and fear, her body tense beneath his shadow. I don't want. No, please. Her voice trembled, breaking apart like fragile glass, but his tone only grew colder. No one dares to defy me. You said it, so now you'll do it. The words felt like a lock snapping shut. His hands dragged her closer, his breath hot against her skin. She shuddered at his touch, her body stiff with fear, even as he closed the distance further. A helpless sound escaped her throat. The room felt too small, the weight pressing down on her, leaving no space to breathe. His gaze bore into hers as if claiming ownership, his face dangerously close. She closed her eyes, not from acceptance, but from the cold inevitability of the moment. The tension in the room was thick. A girl lay unconscious, her figure limp and pale under the soft light. A voice, laced with frustration and panic, broke the silence. This idiot girl dares to comatose at this time? It wasn't just anger speaking. It was fear cloaked in sarcasm, masking deeper emotions yet to be revealed. Suddenly, the scene shifts. A brilliant sky stretches endlessly above, painted in serene shades of blue and white. Sunlight pours down gently, cutting through the clouds like divine rays. Below, lush green trees sway in the breeze, their leaves sparkling under the light. A calm rolled outside, so peaceful, so alive, unaware of the turmoil within those walls. Back inside, the warmth of the sun gently slips through the window, casting golden glimmers on a soft couch. Strands of pink hair spill over the edge, their owner lying still and silent. The contrast between her stillness and the vibrant world outside is stark, like a soul caught between two realities. The soft light of morning seeped through the curtains, casting a gentle glow across the room. A young woman lay asleep on a large, elegant bed, her long pink hair flowing like silk across the pillow. Her expression was peaceful, almost fragile, as if caught in the delicate space between a dream and reality. A quiet murmur escaped her lips, hinting at the confusion slowly surfacing in her mind. Her eyes fluttered open slowly, revealing a pair of dazed violet irises. The warmth of the bed still clung to her skin, but something felt off. She turned her head slightly, blinking against the morning light. Marks on her shoulder hinted at a memory she couldn't fully grasp. "This is," she whispered, a wave of realization beginning to form, unanswered questions brewing just beneath the surface. Before she could gather her thoughts, the door opened with a soft creak. A composed maid stepped into the room, her posture rigid yet respectful. "You should wake up. He wants you to have breakfast, then go to the living room to meet him." The girl's eyes widened slightly. He? Who was this man she was being summoned to meet, and why did it feel like she had no choice? Her eyes widened in shock, her heart pounding uncontrollably. A wave of panic washed over her as she struggled to understand what had just happened. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she clutched the sheets tightly. No blood? Could it be? Her mind raced with unanswered questions, the silence of the room only amplifying her fear. The maid's cold, mocking voice pierced the air. Forget it. The kind of dirty woman who dared to climb into his bed." The girl sat frozen, her hands gripping the fabric near her shoulders, unable to find the right words to defend herself. With an impatient tug, the maid yanked away the blanket. He really hates waiting for others. You'd better hurry up, she barked, pulling the fabric with surprising strength. She slipped on the black high heels, the straps wrapping snugly around her ankles. Her trembling hands tied the blue ribbon around her wrist. She had no choice but to face what was waiting for her. Standing at the staircase, she took a deep breath. After all, last night, her fingers gripped the railing as uncertainty clouded her eyes. In the lavish living room, 3 figures were already waiting. A man dressed in black sat calmly in the single chair, exuding a chilling authority, while the couple on the couch turned their heads in surprise at her arrival. The couple's expressions hardened. The woman in the red dress leaned forward with a sharp glare, while the man beside her looked equally startled and displeased. Before she could take another step, a strong hand reached out, pulling her forward. "Ah!" she gasped as she fell right into his arms. His calm, unreadable gaze met her startled eyes, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. His deep, calm voice echoed through the room. "You woke up?" She froze in his arms, her heart skipping a beat as their eyes met. His expression was unreadable, cold yet strangely captivating. Her trembling fingers brushed against the side of her neck. The warmth of the mark burned against her skin as she touched it, proof of what had happened last night. Across the room, the couple watched with dark expressions. The man's jaw tightened while the woman's teeth ground together in anger. Their narrowed eyes were filled with frustration and barely contained jealousy. "No," she told herself, clutching onto his sleeve tightly. "In front of this shameless couple, I absolutely cannot back down." Her resolve hardened, her fear slowly giving way to defiance. Standing firmly by his side, she leaned closer, feeling his steady presence beside her. His arm wrapped lightly around her waist, holding her in place. The word fell from his lips like a command. "Contract." The man reached into the briefcase with precision. "Take." He pulled out a stack of documents, the crisp sound of paper filling the silent room. "Sir, the contract has been prepared. Please have a look," the assistant said respectfully. The atmosphere grew tense. The man in the suit stood with the papers in hand, ready to present them, while the blonde woman beside him wore a satisfied smile. In contrast, the pink-haired girl remained still in the man's arms, her heart pounding as the weight of the situation settled on her shoulder. Her eyes widened in disbelief as her grip on his sleeve tightened. "You want to sign a contract with him?" she cried out, her voice trembling between fear and anger. Across the room, the man in the suit forced a strained smile, though his eyes betrayed his frustration. "Damn it, this woman is making things difficult for me," he cursed inwardly, sweat forming on his brow. "Mr. Beiming," the man began cautiously, holding up the contract. Before he could finish, a sharp voice cut through the air. "You are a scammer!" The scene shifts to a tense, charged exchange, though the setting remains one of luxurious intimacy, perhaps a car or a lavish sitting area. The pink-haired protagonist, her face contorted in a mix of fury and distress, struggles violently against the man's grip. Her hands are held firmly by his, and her eyes convey the betrayal she feels. Beneath the struggle, a single explosive accusation is directed at the man, echoing her inner turmoil. "Obviously, you agreed to make them lose everything." Her voice is laced with desperation, suggesting the man's promise to ruin her enemies was the dark catalyst for her alliance with him. She feels cheated, her path to revenge stalled by his withholding. In stark contrast to her raw emotion, the man remains perfectly composed. Dressed impeccably in a dark suit, his dark hair neat and his expression controlled, he responds with a calculated calm. His words are delivered with absolute certainty. "Of course. What I said, I absolutely do not break the promise." He reaffirms his commitment to their dark pact, but his demeanor is subtly chilling.
He pulls her close, his arm around her waist, her hand held gently but firmly in his, demonstrating both his power and his lingering intention. He has no intention of regaining on the destruction he promised, but his control over the timing and the terms of that destruction is absolute. The conversation culminates as the man leans in close, his gaze intense, capturing her completely. He ignores her distress and the earlier struggle, focusing instead on the true nature of their transaction. His voice drops to a subtle, demanding tone, a silken threat wrapped in an implied question. "But you still haven't given it to me, have you?" The implication is staggering. The ruin he promised is still conditional. She has paid with her freedom and her person, but there is still one final unspoken thing he expects in return, something she has yet to yield. His proximity, his piercing gaze, and this final loaded question confirm that the true price of her revenge is not merely money or agreement, but her complete and final submission. He is reminding her that until he has everything he desires, her enemies will remain untouched.
As the morning light softly filters into the room, the atmosphere between them is tense, yet strangely intimate. The man leans in, his voice low and deliberate. "How do you want to continue the transaction?" he asks, his words laced with both mystery and intent. The girl, caught off guard by his nearness, stares into his eyes with a mix of surprise and confusion. Her thoughts swirl in her mind as she realizes something unexpected. "Turns out, he still hasn't done anything to me last night. It's so good." Relief washes over her, mingled with a hint of gratitude and perhaps curiosity. Now seated together in a luxurious lounge, his eyes gleam with confidence as he gently lifts her chin, his voice almost playful yet protective. "Just you say continue. I will replace you to punish them." He offers her more than just help. He offers vengeance. Her heart pounds, not just from the proximity, but from the weight of the choice before her. She gazes up at him, torn between doubt and determination. His question still lingers in the air. "Do you want to continue this transaction?" Her mind races. The offer is tempting. All it takes is a single nod, and this powerful man will take on her enemies for her. Her thoughts echo. "Just nod? This man will help me take revenge." But she hesitates. What will be the price of this transaction? As tension rises, someone reaches out, perhaps in desperation or confrontation, only to be pushed away. "No need!" The voice rings out, fierce and resolute. The inner thought lingers. Revenge? But the price? Something is being refused. An offer? A warning? A help? But whatever it is, it's clearly not welcome. In a lavish room filled with cold light, a sharp voice cuts through the silence. "I'm just afraid that it's not your turn to speak." The man, calm yet intimidating, holds the woman protectively. Her eyes widen in surprise, an exclamation mark over her head. Tension hangs in the air as dominance and authority shift in the room. Two men enter, documents in hand, but it's not just another business meeting. A startled thought surfaces from someone watching them. "Zhangjia Liang? The boss of Zhangji Company? Why is he here?" Clearly, the arrival is unexpected and significant. Whatever's about to happen, it's far from ordinary. As two businessmen meet unexpectedly, one of them is surprised. "Zong boss, you're also here to sign the contract? What a coincidence," he says with a polite smile. He quickly adds, "You're also interested in the lands at Qiyun Mountain?" The atmosphere is calm, but filled with underlying tension as both realize they might be competing for the same opportunity. In a luxurious room bathed in natural light, a striking man in black sits beside a girl with long pink hair and bright purple eyes. Without hesitation, the man commands with confidence, "Give me the contract." The authority in his voice makes it clear. He is not here to negotiate, but to take what he wants. The girl looks composed yet attentive, resting beside him like a quiet support. Standing with a smile and slight bow, the assistant responds quickly, "Yes." He wastes no time, ready to fulfill the order without question. The deal is about to be sealed, and there's no doubt who now holds the upper hand. A man in a black suit reaches forward, holding a document with both hands. Narration. With a calm and professional gesture, the assistant handed over the final contract. The deal was sealed. Another man, confidently smiling, leans in and says, "Congratulations, to boss." Narration. The room buzzed with subtle tension and admiration as Boss received the compliment. His business maneuver had clearly paid off. Two men walk together. One of them, with a satisfied expression, says, "Zong boss, he has signed a contract with our Sue Corporation already. Don't envy. Come sooner next time." Narration. There was no hiding in the pride in his voice. Sue Corporation had once again outpaced the competition. Zong boss could only watch as the opportunity slipped through his fingers. A delicate hand holds a pen, elegantly signing the name Bei Ming Di on the contract. Narration. With one final stroke, the signature was complete. Bei Ming Di had officially joined the ranks of Sue Corporation. A young woman with striking pink hair and vivid purple eyes looks up, speaking gently. Narration. Her eyes sparkled with both curiosity and resolve. This was just the beginning of her new chapter. The girl nervously looked up, clutching her dress. "Can I go now? I still have to go to school," she whispered, trying to escape the tense atmosphere. But the man's calm, deep voice stopped her. His lips curved into a faint smile. "Why is it so hasty? Don't you want to stay and see this drama unfold?" Her heart skipped a beat under his piercing gaze, unsure whether to run or stay. He leaned closer, his arm wrapping around her shoulders, gently but firmly. "I've fulfilled his request," he murmured, "but it seems you haven't met mine yet." Her breath caught. What did he mean by that? Elsewhere, a man in a suit grinned slyly, waving a document in his hand. "Kaka, you should obediently serve him. Without you, I can't sign this contract." The words struck like ice. Her freedom was nothing more than a bargaining chip. Another man, sharp and composed, stepped forward. "Mr. Beiming, this is a contract I've prepared for many days," he said, offering the papers with a hopeful tone. "Please take a look." Little did he know, this contract would bind more than just business. It would tie destinies together. The man's calm yet commanding voice filled the room. "Mr. Shu, stay here for a while. You might as well listen to our discussion with Boss Hang. After all, this business concerns you too." His tone was polite, but the sharpness in his eyes hinted that refusal wasn't an option. The girl stiffened as his hand wrapped gently around her shoulders, pressing a stack of documents into her grasp. She could feel the weight of his control and the cold authority behind that touch. Her eyes widened as she skimmed through the papers. "This is," she whispered, disbelief flashing in her violet gaze. The words leapt off the page. "Select cemetery location in the south of Mount Qian of Dongling." Her pulse quickened as the details sank in. "All benefits belong to Party A. Party B provides 10 billion in investment capital and no refund." Across the table, the man called Shu stared blankly at the document, a cold sweat forming as realization dawned. The girl's expression hardened, her delicate fingers tightening over her chest. "Shu Xiaoyang signed this time," she muttered, her voice trembling between anger and shock. "Isn't this land supposed to be in the east of Chewing Mountain?" The truth was unraveling, and the game had only just begun.
Rumors spread that the luxurious villas are surrounded by cemeteries. Who would dare to live there? Once the graveyard construction begins, it will also mark the downfall of Shu Ji Company. Frustrated, a man slams the documents onto the table. "Mr. Bei Ming, you invested 10 billion in us to build villas, then another 10 billion in Boss Zhang to build cemeteries. Aren't you deliberately ruining this project?" His voice trembles as he demands an answer. "Mr. Bei Ming, why?" Without saying a word, Bei Ming gently places his hand on a girl's head. With a cold smile, he finally speaks. "This girl doesn't want you to succeed. We made a deal last night. She wants you to lose everything." The girl looks up, her violet eyes wide with shock and disbelief. She clutches at her chest, unable to speak. The man's expression twists with fury and confusion. "Mr. Bei Ming, 10 billion only because of a woman?"
As tensions rise in the meeting room, a man anxiously confronts Boss Zhang, his tone laced with disbelief. "Boss Zhang," he pleads, clutching documents in his hand. "Surely you realize that building a cemetery yields no profit at all. This transaction won't earn money. It'll even swallow up all the capital. Are you crazy?" The pink-haired woman in the background watches silently, concern written across her face. Something bigger is clearly unfolding. Desperation grips the young man as he grabs Zhang's sleeve, trying to reason with him. "Think about it," he urges, panic flashing in his eyes. But Boss Zhang remains calm and composed, even smiling gently, completely unfazed by the outburst. He's clearly made up his mind and nothing will shake his confidence. As the tension breaks, Zhang walks away with a mysterious smirk playing on his lips. Zhang Ji Company has such a bright future, he thinks to himself with quiet satisfaction. Maybe I should think Mr. Xu after all. A dark aura of determination surrounds him. D pressed. The text flashes beneath, marking the weight of the decision, yet also hinting at something deeper, more calculated. A man in a suit leans forward, his face pale and eyes wide in shock. The sky behind him crackles with sharp streaks of lightning, mirroring the chaos inside his heart. His lips tremble as he whispers, "Why become like this?" Unable to comprehend how everything has spiraled so far out of control. Inside a quiet, elegant room, the same man kneels weakly on the floor. His suit is disheveled, and his voice trembles as he pleads, "Kaha, I beg you." Across from him sits a woman with pink hair, composed and silent, watching him without a hint of emotion. The distance between them feels like a chasm that words cannot cross. Just as he tries to reach out, a hand suddenly pushes him away. His eyes widen in surprise, his body jerking back as the word "push" echoes through the air. His desperate plea is met with cold rejection. Another scene unfolds. A blonde woman in a red dress sits gracefully, speaking with calm confidence. "Mr. Bei Ming," she begins, "I am the secretary of Shuji Company's general manager. About the investment issue this time, I can explain it carefully to you." The man, Bei Ming, looks shocked and frustrated, shouting back, "Ting Ting, what the hell are you saying?" The blonde woman kneels elegantly on the floor, her red dress hugging her figure. She places a hand lightly on her chest, a confident smile playing on her lips. Behind her, Bei Ming sits on the floor, caught between confusion and anger. She tilts her head slightly, her smile sharpening like a blade hidden behind silk. "Mr. Bei Ming, or you should let Kaka go and let me go with you to your room to make this clearer." Every word drips with dangerous charm. A different man, with dark hair and sharp eyes, gives a faint smirk. His voice is steady, almost cold. "Sure, let's do it." The tension in the air thickens, setting the stage for something that will change everything. A warm smile lights up the blonde woman's face as she gazes ahead. Her eyes shine brightly, and the soft background of flowers mirrors the joy blooming in her heart. "Happy," she whispers, the single word carrying 1,000 feelings she doesn't say out loud. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. A tall man with dark hair steps into the room, his sharp gaze cutting through the air. Beside him stands a pink-haired girl, silent yet watchful. His voice rings with authority.
Yi Chang, clear the way. The tension builds, and everyone in the room feels the weight of his command. The blonde woman looks up from the floor, startled, as the man's voice booms again, this time even louder, filled with dominance. Stand up! His tall figure casts a shadow over her, while the girl beside him clenches her fists, silent but steady. Her hands press against the floor as she tries to rise. The confident woman in the red dress, who once smiled so boldly, now struggles under the weight of the moment. The elegance of her dress contrasts with the unease flickering in her posture.
At the door, a man in a black suit stands rigidly, his hands clasped in front of him. Without hesitation, he responds to the command, yes. His presence signals that the situation has officially escalated. Something serious is about to unfold. The atmosphere cracks with tension. Two people call out in panic. Mr. Baiming, all are misunderstandings. We can talk slowly. Their voices echo down the hallway as they desperately try to stop him. But the man in the center, tall and imposing, doesn't turn back. His broad shoulders block the light streaming through the open doorway. He's already made up his mind. The woman in the red dress and the man beside him rush after him. Their footsteps hurried, almost frantic. Their bodies lean forward as if trying to hold on to something already slipping away. But he doesn't stop. Meanwhile, inside the room, the man with dark hair holds the pink-haired girl close. His voice is calm, but his grip is firm, unyielding. She struggles, her voice rising in panic. Let me go! But he doesn't budge, his cold gaze fixed on her trembling figure. Her hands push weakly against him as he leans closer, his words cutting deep. Last night, you said you wanted to actively serve me and begged me to punish them. Don't you remember? His reminder drips with control, wrapping around her like invisible chains. Her violet eyes fill with desperation as she looks up at him. Tears shimmer at the corners of her eyes. I told you! I don't want to do it anymore, she pleads, her voice trembling. I beg you, let me go. I don't want to deal with you anymore. But the fear in her gaze reveals the bitter truth. Escape won't be easy. The sky shines bright behind him, but his voice cuts through the calm like a blade. Holding her firmly in his arms, he declares coldly, no one dares to be in front of me without doing it. His grip tightens, as if to remind her there's no escaping him now. Their eyes lock, his gaze filled with dominance, hers with a mix of fear and disbelief. A faint smirk curves on his lips as he leans closer, whispering, You. I want you. Her breath catches in her throat. The distance between them disappears. She panics, her voice trembling as she cries out, Do not! I will compensate you with money. Mr. Baiming, I will pay you. But no amount of pleading seems to soften the dangerous glint in his eyes. His tone turns even colder. 20 billion. If you can pay it within 3 days, I'll let you go. His words are like iron chains, heavy, sharp, and unbreakable. She stares at him, stunned. Her violet eyes widen, struggling to process the impossible demand. She opens her mouth, her voice barely a whisper. Inside, her thoughts race wildly. Within 3 days, how can I make so much money? He lifts her effortlessly in his arms, staring down at her with an unreadable expression. His voice echoes above her. If you've seduced me to make this promise, then you should do it. The words sting. Her heart sinks as the finality of the situation hits her. With a sudden movement, she loses balance and falls backward. Ah! She screams as the world spins for a brief second. Her body hits the ground, her pink hair fanning around her, her wide eyes filled with fear and shock.
The man slowly removes his jacket, his expression calm yet intense. A quiet tension fills the air as his movements draw her attention. She backs away nervously, her voice trembling. Don't come here, she pleads, pressing herself against the headboard, fear flashing in her wide eyes. Her lips quiver, and her voice softens into a desperate whisper. Don't.
She breathes out, helpless and unsure of what to do. Suddenly, a firm knock knock on the door breaks the heavy silence, echoing sharply in the tense room. A man outside bows respectfully. "Young master, the oldest master came to Dongling first," he reports, his tone serious. He leans in closer, his intense gaze fixed on her. But before he can get any nearer, her trembling hand presses against his chest, pushing him back slightly. The air between them is thick with tension. His eyes narrow and his jaw tightens. "I know," he snaps, his voice low and controlled, but the sharpness in his tone cuts through the silence like a blade. Straightening his jacket, he turns toward the man at the door. "Go," he commands, firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument. The moment is broken, but the unease lingers in the room. Left alone, she places a hand over her racing heart. Her voice is barely a whisper. So lucky. Relief floods through her, though her body is still tense with fear. Without wasting another second, she slips off the bed and dashes toward the door. Her heels click sharply against the floor. "Run," she tells herself. Her only thought now is to escape before he returns.
Leaning against the door, she lets out a shaky breath. Phew! Her heart pounds in her chest, but relief slowly washes over her. She made it out! For now. The hallway stretches before her, quiet and empty. The soft lighting reflects off the polished floor, as if silently urging her to run while she still has the chance. She tiptoes down the staircase, gripping the railing tightly. A whispered sigh escapes her lips. Phew, no one here, she thinks, moving as quickly and quietly as she can. Finally outside, she clutches her chest, her breath uneven. The warm sunlight hits her face, but the weight of fear still lingers in her steps. She stops abruptly, eyes widening as a familiar figure catches her attention in the distance. "That is Ting Ting," she whispers, hope flickering in her expression. From behind the bushes, she witnesses a disturbing scene. A desperate voice echoes, "I was wrong. I beg you guys. Please forgive me. Please." The trembling plea fills the air, but the men standing before the helpless figure only smirk coldly. Her hands tighten at her sides. She knows something terrible is happening. The crowd surrounds the girl, phones raised as they record everything. The helpless girl kneels on the ground, fear written all over her face. No one steps forward to help. Only cruel amusement and cold indifference fill the air. Two of the men lean in, their faces twisted with wicked delight. Their hands reach out like predators closing in on their prey, their shadows stretching menacingly across the trembling girl. "Ah!" she cries out, curling in on herself, clutching at the torn remains of her dress. Her body shakes and tears stream down her face. The air is thick with terror and cruelty. The pink-haired girl covers her mouth, horrified. "Oh my, this is no different from hell," she thinks. Her heart pounds violently in her chest, her breath catching. The scene before her is unbearable,
like a nightmare she can't wake up from. Her breath trembles as realization dawns. Bei Ming, he's definitely the leader of those guys. He is truly a crazy devil. The fear in her chest tightens like a knot, but determination sparks behind her eyes. She knows exactly who she's dealing with now. The night sky stretches endlessly above, the full moon casting its cold, pale light. The world feels silent, but beneath that calm is something dangerous, something waiting to unfold. Far away, the luxurious mansion stands under the moonlight, bathed in a soft glow. From the outside, it looks serene and elegant, but she knows the darkness that hides within those walls. Inside, a man peers out the window, his expression calm but sharp. "Where is that girl?" he mutters, his voice low. "The hunt has already begun." In the quiet of the room, he sits alone, back turned, gazing at the night sky through the glass wall. The reflection of the stars flickers on the window, cold, distant, and merciless. A glass of wine rests beside him, untouched. He waits, like a predator, before the strike. The butler bows his head slightly, his voice calm but steady. "The girl you mentioned is the one who was brought here last night, isn't she? She left right after you did." His words carry no emotion, just a simple statement of fact, yet they make the air around them grow heavier. The man sitting in the shadows narrows his eyes, his voice low and cold. "Give me information about her tomorrow." There's no room for argument in his tone. It's a command, a threat wrapped in calm. Yes." The butler answers quickly, fear flickering in his voice. His hands tighten slightly, understanding exactly what kind of man he's dealing with. The man's hand clenches the cigar so hard it cracks between his fingers. "She really doesn't respect me at all?" His rage is no longer hidden. It bursts out like a storm ready to consume everything. A cold smirk spreads across his face as he glares into the darkness. "Want to run away?"
A sharp voice pierces the silence. "Stop!" The single word hangs in the air like a desperate plea in the dark. A hand suddenly grips her wrist tightly, the warmth of his skin contrasting the cold fear crawling up her spine. His hold is firm, unyielding. She struggles, twisting and pulling away as panic takes over. "Let me go!" Her voice trembles with both fear and anger. Terror fills her eyes as she shouts, "Don't!" Her body stiffens, every muscle screaming for freedom. Her eyes widen in shock, heart pounding in her chest. In this moment, she realizes how trapped she truly is. There's no escape, not yet. The night fades into morning light. She sits on her bed, one hand pressed against her forehead. A week has passed, but I still can't escape his obsession. The weight of everything crushes down on her shoulders. A loud bam echoes through the room as the door slams open. K, k. The sudden noise snaps her out of her heavy thoughts. A girl bursts through the doorway shouting, "It's already 8 a.m. Are you still sleeping?" Her fiery energy is the complete opposite of the room's earlier heaviness. Still standing at the door, the girl continues, "Have you forgotten today is the day of founding our school? We need to arrive on time for the reception team." Her urgency fills the room. Under the soft pink blanket, the girl with long hair slowly sits up, her eyes hazy with both exhaustion and memories she can't escape. The morning sunlight spills through the curtains, warm and bright, almost mocking the storm inside her heart. Her eyes widen in shock as she suddenly sits up in bed. "I almost forgot that." The panic in her voice matches the little jolt of adrenaline rushing through her body. Shang crosses her arms with a sharp look. The important character was there at 8:30 a.m. already. Her tone is half scolding, half urging. Time is slipping away fast. Clothes fly through the air as she hurriedly gets ready. "Shang, why didn't you wake me up earlier?" Her voice is anxious and desperate, clearly not ready to face the day's chaos. Moments later, they rush to the venue, their breaths coming out in quick gasps. Finally caught up. She bends forward, hands on her knees, trying to catch her breath. A man with glasses and a bow tie greets them with a stern expression. "Didn't I tell you guys to come a little early for makeup? We need to impress customers." His words carry the weight of expectation. He continues, frustration creeping into his voice. "Our literary team can only look forward to a reward this time. If you're like this, how can the boss generously bonus us?" The pressure hits her like a cold wave. Before she can respond, Shang steps forward confidently. You're wrong. Even if Kaka doesn't wear makeup, she's still very beautiful. Even more beautiful than the goddess. Her words cut through the tension, fierce and protective. She tugs lightly at Sheng Sheng's arm, her voice soft and uneasy. Sheng Sheng, please don't talk like that. The young girl, with a slightly anxious look in her bright pink eyes, turns to the leader and apologizes sincerely. Leader, I'm really sorry, she says quickly. I brought my makeup in my bag. Before going on stage, I'll just put on a little makeup. Her leader lets out a quiet sigh, but eventually agrees. All right, please be a little flexible, she responds. The girl clutches her arm tightly, relief and determination flickering in her expression. Outside the building, a crowd has already gathered. People stand in neat lines, dressed elegantly. The air is filled with excitement and whispers as everyone waits for the event to begin. Two women whisper to each other excitedly. One leans in, her eyes sparkling. I heard there will be a big character coming here to attend, she says. It seems like a rich man from Dongling. The other woman raises an eyebrow, a skeptical smile forming. Are you exaggerating? Every year, it's just the directors of small businesses and school principals who come. How could they possibly have the chance to meet a real rich man? Suddenly, the sound of a car stopping echoes through the street. Brave! All heads turn toward the entrance as a sleek black luxury car appears. Wow, that's the latest model car, someone gasps as the sunlight reflects off its polished surface. It's the latest model this year. There's only one like this in the world. The price can reach up to 50 million yuan. The car door opens slowly. A tall man in a perfectly tailored suit steps out with a calm, commanding presence. His polished shoes hit the ground first, followed by a confident stride. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Oh, he's so handsome, I almost can't breathe, someone exclaims dreamily, as out in the sunlight. Meanwhile, away from the crowd, the girl heads toward the restroom. The sign above the door shows it's the ladies' room, the perfect place to fix her makeup and prepare for what's ahead. Outside the restroom door, the girl lets out a long breath, whispering a quiet phew. Her heart slowly calms down as she mentally prepares for the event ahead. Suddenly, her friend bursts in with excitement, eyes wide. Congress is about to begin! Let's go! Leader has already arranged seats for us, she exclaims eagerly. The girl straightens up, nodding with determination. Sure, she replies, ready to face what's coming next. The girls enter the grand hall, each holding a bottle to serve the guests. The room is buzzing with chatter, and the girl's thoughts echo in her mind. The serve area that leader has arranged for me is... But the moment she realizes where she's been assigned, her face goes pale. Lightning flashes in the background, amplifying her shock. Her grip loosens. The bottle slips from her trembling hands, falling through the air. The glass shatters on the ground with a loud crash. Red wine spills like blood, spreading fast. Across the room, the man in the elegant suit sits calmly, a faint smirk on his face. Her heart skips a beat. It's him! He leans back confidently in his chair, his presence dominating the entire space without needing to say a word. The girl clutches her chest, still shaken. Who is he actually? Why does he come here? Questions swirl in her mind as their paths are about to cross once again. She clutches her wrist tightly, trying to calm herself down. Her breath comes out shaky, as if she's trying to hold back the fear rising inside her. Her friend notices and frowns. What's wrong with you? Don't tell me. That guy has hypnotized you with his charm? Her words are half joking, half serious, but the worry in her eyes is real. The girl looks over her shoulder, heart racing. She spots the man sitting at the front of the hall, his presence pulling all the air out of the room. No, she thinks frantically, I need to get out of here. Fast. Suddenly, their leader storms over, furious. Ka, how could you ruin such a good opportunity? He roars.
Why are you still standing there? Go and change. Are you trying to make a bad impression on our customers? She lowers her head, frozen in place, while her friend stands protectively beside her. The tension is thick in the air as footsteps approach them. Later, in the quiet of their dorm room, her friend's voice softens. Kaka, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? Concern laces every word. Her friend leans closer, touching her forehead. Or maybe you should just stay in the dorm, she suggests gently. I'll tell the leader for you. But the girl shakes her head firmly. No. Everyone has worked so hard on this cinema plan. I can't let it all fall apart because of me. She takes a steady breath, her voice firm despite her unease. Tell the leader I'm fine. I'll stay behind for now, but once he finishes talking to the company boss, I'll come and help. Her friend finally nods, though worry remains in her eyes. Fine, she agrees quietly. Outside, the sun shines bright, but inside, the girl knows the storm between her and that man isn't over yet.
She walks along the stone path deep in the forest. The sun filters softly through the leaves, creating shifting patterns on the ground. Her thoughts are tangled. Although he probably didn't come here for me, it's better if I stay far away from him. The warm sunlight pierces through the thick leaves above. The forest is calm and quiet, almost as if it's trying to convince her she's safe. She glances over her shoulder, doubt flickering in her bright eyes. Am I just overthinking? She wonders, though her heart still pounds nervously. But just as her mind begins to ease, a pale hand slowly reaches out from behind her, fingers moving with chilling precision. Before she can react, a firm grip covers her mouth from behind. She lets out a muffled sound, eyes widening in shock. A tall figure looms over her. Her trembling hands press against his, struggling to break free, but his hold remains strong and unyielding, pulling her closer against him. She turns her head and finally sees him, his calm, piercing gaze meeting hers. He leans lazily against a tree, smirking. Surprised to see me? He asks, voice smooth and unsettling. He steps closer, his face lowering to meet hers. It seems your reaction is still as honest as the first time we met, he murmurs, brushing her cheek with the fingertip. She flinches at his touch, her hands shaking uncontrollably. What do you want, after all? She demands, fear and anger twisting inside her. He lifts a strand of her hair, curling it around his finger like a claim. His voice drops low. Do you remember what you still owe me?
Her back presses against the rough bark of the tree as she instinctively raises her arms to protect herself. Her voice trembles, but determination flashes in her violet eyes. I don't owe you anything. I didn't even agree to this, she cries out. Her words carry both fear and defiance, like a fragile shield against the suffocating pressure he's exerting on her. His voice cuts through the air, smooth but laced with venom. Have you forgotten what I said? Don't pretend in front of me. Then, with a smirk, he adds, you were the one who took the initiative to hug me in the KTV karaoke room. You even said you would serve me. The cruel reminder hangs heavily between them, twisting her memories into weapons. He leans closer, one arm pressed firmly against the tree above her head, trapping her completely. His presence is overwhelming, his gaze sharp and unrelenting. She stands frozen beneath him, her breaths shallow, her body tense. He has cornered her, both physically and emotionally. His lips curl into a cold, triumphant smile as he looks down at her. What I said, I did. Now it's your turn, isn't it? His words drip with control, as if this entire encounter is no more than a game he knows he's winning. She looks up at him with wide, frightened eyes. Her lips part slightly, but the words seem stuck in her throat. The tremor in her body betrays the brave face she's trying so hard to keep.
Finally, she gathers her strength and speaks, voice shaky but resolute. I told you, I didn't want any kind of covenant. You were the one who forced it. I already refused you before. Her plea echoes desperately into the quiet air, as though trying to reach a heart that may not listen. But instead of stepping back, his smile deepens. He raises a hand, brushing his fingers lightly against her cheek as if claiming ownership. His eyes hold a dangerous amusement, like a predator toying with its prey. You really don't understand my game rules, he murmurs darkly. But that's fine. I'll teach you slowly, later. Her voice rises in protest. This is school. Please, don't act like this. Her fear and desperation spill out, but the weight of his confidence makes her words feel powerless. In an instant, she's pushed back, her body pinned beneath him. The light in her eyes wavers between panic and helplessness as his hand presses against the ground beside her. He looks down, his eyes narrowing like a hunter about to strike. A smirk tugs at the corner of his lips as he leans in even closer. His voice drops to a whisper, thick with insinuation. It turns out you want me to be more intense, don't you? Her breath catches, her heart pounding like a trapped bird's. Every word he speaks makes the air around them heavier. Her voice quivers, but she forces herself to sound firm. Someone is coming this way. If you keep doing this, I'll scream, she warns, desperately clinging to the hope that the threat of witnesses will stop him. Her hands are clenched tightly, her heart racing like it's trying to break free from her chest. But his expression doesn't waver. He leans even closer, his eyes sharp, a dangerous glint hiding behind that calm mask. Your memory doesn't work very well at all, he murmurs coldly, his breath brushing against her skin. The space between them shrinks until she can barely breathe. He lowers his voice, making each word sound like a claim. I told you, this city is mine. Donglin is my world. If you want to call for help, go ahead and try. A chilling smile crosses his face. I want to see if anyone would even dare to save you. The weight of his dominance crashes down on her like an iron cage. She freezes as he ignores her protest, pushing her further into the corner. Fear and helplessness swirl inside her as his control tightens like a noose. Her mind screams for a way out, for someone, anyone to appear. But the only sound left in the air is the steady, terrifying rhythm of his voice and the pounding of her own heart.
She pushes against his chest with all the strength she can gather. Tears well up in her eyes as she trembles, her voice breaking into a desperate, "Don't!" Her resistance is weak, but it's all she has. The fear inside her rises like a storm, threatening to drown her. His hand moves closer, ignoring the silent plea in her eyes. Her breathing grows uneven, panic setting in. Every inch of distance he closes feels like a wall pressing down on her, trapping her in a corner where no one can hear her. A cold voice echoes in the air. He looks at her as if she's fragile, something easily broken. She's such a weak person. His thoughts are cruel. To him, her fear isn't a warning, it's amusement. She trembles while he wears that cold, dangerous smile. His expression hardens and a chilling thought crosses his mind. Giving up would make the world dull. To him, this is not about emotion. It's about control, about keeping something he believes belongs to him. Her fear boils over, erupting in a scream. Let me go. Her voice is raw, desperate, filled with everything she can't fight with her hands. For the first time, the air is split with something louder than her pounding heart. But instead of letting her go, he grips her wrists tightly. The force of his hold sends a jolt of pain through her arm. The contrast between her trembling hand and his unyielding grip makes the power imbalance painfully clear. He leans closer, lowering his voice to something almost casual. I heard your literature team is calling for funding. His words are calculated, slipping into her ears like a poisoned promise.
It's no longer just about power, it's manipulation. She struggles again, but his grip doesn't loosen. The sound of their breaths fills the small space between them, heavy and suffocating. Her mind races, trying to find a way out. He might be willing to give up billions just because he wants to. Her thoughts are scattered, torn between fear and the harsh reality of the power he holds. Money, influence, control. None of it is in her favor. Pinned against the tree, she finally screams, "Stop!" The word echoes like a final thread of defiance, but his gaze is steady, sharp like a blade. He towers over her, confident that no one will save her here. His voice is cold and manipulative as his fingers tighten around her wrist. "As long as you cooperate," he says, his words dripping with implied threats, "I might consider investing in your script." The promise isn't a kindness, it's a chain. She can feel the pressure, not just on her skin, but crushing her spirit. He leans in, eyes sharp like a predator sizing up its prey. "Well, do you want to try?" The question isn't truly a question. It's a corner she's being pushed into with no easy escape. His tone leaves no room for innocence. Her heart pounds in her chest as her voice falters. Fear knots in her throat, choking any real words before they can escape. Every breath she takes feels shallow, every second heavier than the last. Her eyes flash with a flicker of resistance. "Don't," she blurts out, her hands trembling. She doesn't know where the courage comes from, only that she refuses to give in. She's trapped, but not broken. In her mind, panic screams louder than her voice. "I shouldn't make any deal with such a dangerous person." The realization cuts through her like ice. She knows that agreeing would mean losing a piece of herself forever. His grip doesn't loosen. He leans closer, his voice lowering to a vile whisper. "Don't forget what you said. Take a shower and wait for me tonight." The words make her skin crawl. To him, this isn't cruelty, it's control. Rage and fear finally burst from her chest. "You shameless!" she yells, pushing him with all the strength she can muster. The air shakes with the force of her desperate push, though deep down, she knows it may not be enough. Her legs move before her mind can catch up. She turns and runs, the sound of her footsteps echoing through the trees. Behind her, his voice cuts through the air like a blade. "Run away?" She doesn't look back. "Run, run, run." Her mind chants the word over and over as she sprints down the path, heart hammering in her ears. But his calm stare burns into her back, promising that this isn't over. Elsewhere, his cold voice orders, "Go meet her team." It's clear he's not done with her. He's moving pieces on a board only he controls, and she is trapped in a game she never wanted to play. The scene opens with a distant view of a large campus-like complex. The sound of the school bell echoes loudly, "Ring, ring, ring," signaling the start of a new day. Over this scene, a short response is heard, "Yes." It's calm yet determined, setting the tone for what's about to unfold. The camera zooms in closer, revealing the modern red brick buildings and busy streets filled with students walking to class. The sunlight reflects gently off the windows, making the campus appear warm and welcoming. This is a place full of youthful energy, where stories are waiting to be written. Inside a quiet hallway, sunlight streams through large glass windows. Two figures can be seen walking side by side, their footsteps light and casual. Their conversation begins to fill the empty corridor, signaling the start of a meaningful exchange. One of the girls, dressed elegantly in a black dress, leans slightly toward her friend, speaking in a hushed but excited tone. "I heard the leader has found someone willing to invest for him. It's strange," she exclaims, eyes wide with curiosity. Her companion, with soft pink hair and a more reserved expression, listens quietly. The girl continues speaking as they walk, her voice slightly lowered. He is currently in the office discussing the script, so he asked us to come immediately. Her tone carries both excitement and a hint of urgency, as if something important is happening behind closed doors. Hearing this, the pink-haired girl can't help but smile softly. She lowers her gaze, and the words escape her lips almost like a sigh. Really, it's good. A small note floats in the air, capturing the subtle shift in her emotions. Hope begins to flicker in her heart. The two girls finally reach a door. The pink-haired girl gently pushes it open, the sign above indicating it's an office. The light from the hallway spills into the room, and anticipation builds as they take their first step inside. As the morning sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows, two girls stood side by side. One, with sharp blue eyes and a stylish black dress, gasped in frustration, "Why is he again?" The other, softer and quieter, with long pink hair, stayed silent, her expression calm but unreadable. The tension in the air was almost visible. Elsewhere, in the same building, two men were in discussion. One of them, with blonde hair and round glasses, noticed something was off and asked, "Kaka, why did you stop?" His cheerful tone contrasted with the serious atmosphere around them. He then turned toward the man sitting on the couch, an elegant figure in a dark blue suit, holding a folder in one hand and a cigar in the other. "Mr. Bei-ming," the blonde man said eagerly, "you can preview our script." His enthusiasm was obvious, but Mr. Bei-ming's calm demeanor revealed nothing. The blonde assistant's eyes widened in sudden realization. "Ah," he thought, as understanding dawned on him. Whatever Bei-ming had implied, he finally grasped it, though what exactly that was remained unsaid. He kept gesturing with exaggerated waves, urging them to hurry, his energy filling the quiet office. The two girls exchanged glances before slowly approaching, hesitant yet obedient. Mr. Bei-ming finally broke the silence. His low, composed voice carried across the room as he asked, "Who wrote the script?" He looked up from the pages, his sharp gaze revealing a curiosity that seemed to pierce right through them. The blonde man immediately straightened up, adjusting his bow tie with a nervous smile. Gesturing toward the pink-haired girl beside him, he explained, "This is Ying Ka. She's the editor. She's the one who came up with the story. Then our entire team edited it together." Bei-ming's eyes softened slightly. He leaned back in his chair, a faint, knowing smile appearing on his lips. "Oh, it turns out to be that," he murmured, his tone carrying a mysterious hint, like he had just uncovered something intriguing. The blonde assistant's eyes widened in sudden realization. "Ah," he thought as understanding dawned on him. Whatever Bei-ming had implied, he finally grasped it, though what exactly that was remained unsaid. As sunlight streamed through the large windows, the cheerful blonde boy adjusted his round glasses, flashing a confident smile. Without warning, he grabbed the girl's hand and began to walk away, his excitement radiating with every step. The girl, surprised and slightly confused, followed reluctantly, her eyes wide with curiosity and a question mark practically floating above her head. She had no idea what he was planning, but something told her this moment was just the beginning of something unexpected. Before she could ask anything, a sharp, playful voice echoed from behind them. "Kaka! You should stay here to discuss with Mr. Bei-ming about this script. Make sure to satisfy him." The teasing words filled the air just before the door slammed shut with a loud bam. The sound reverberated through the room, leaving the girls staring at the closed door in bewilderment, trapped inside with the one person she hadn't expected to face alone. The pink-haired girl stood frozen, her delicate hand raised uncertainly. "The leader, she began softly, her voice trembling as she tried to explain herself, but her words trailed off, lost in the heavy air between them. Her wide violet eyes reflected confusion, anxiety, and the faintest glimmer of determination. She hadn't prepared for this meeting, and certainly not with someone as intimidating as him. Her thoughts swirled as she glanced toward the tall, composed man in the room. Did he really come here just to invest in the script? She wondered, her heart pounding. The thought seemed too simple, too ordinary for someone of his stature. There was something in his gaze, calm yet piercing, that made her suspect there was more behind his visit than he let on. Holding the script in his hand, the dark-haired man scanned the pages with sharp eyes. His deep voice broke the silence. "The scenes are pretty good," he admitted, "but there's no drama at all. In this movie world, what will you do to attract audiences?" His tone was neither harsh nor gentle, just brutally honest. He looked up briefly, his expression unreadable, making her heart tighten with unease. Trying to gather her courage, she lifted her head and spoke earnestly. "Anyway, we are also just students," she said, her soft voice trembling slightly. "Isn't this very suitable?" Her words were simple, but her wide, pleading eyes revealed the worries stirring inside her. She wanted him to understand. This project wasn't about perfection, it was about passion. But her hope shattered in an instant. With a swift, irritated motion, he threw the script on the table. Throw! The papers fluttered across the surface, rustling loudly in the silence. The sudden action made her flinch, her heart sinking as she realized just how serious his disapproval was. The man leaned back, folding his arms with a cool composure. "Dongling is a place that focuses on business," he explained coldly. "If another corporation wants to invest in cinema, there will be an important part: advertising." His tone carried authority, as if each word were a verdict. To him, films weren't just art, they were strategy and profit. His eyes sharpened as he continued, his voice low but firm. "If your audience is just students, then this will not be suitable for us. So, what do we invest to do?" The question hung heavy in the air, more like a challenge than curiosity. It pierced her confidence, leaving her momentarily speechless. Then, with a faint, confident smile, he lifted a cigar between his fingers. The sunlight caught on his sleek suit and the edge of his smirk, giving him an air of dominance and mystery. He exuded power, the kind that could crush dreams or make them come true with a single decision, and at that moment, she realized how high the stakes really were. With a determined expression, the pink-haired girl speaks passionately, her violet eyes glowing with conviction. "This drama," she declares, "is not only suitable for students, but also for other audiences, especially those who are in love." Her voice carries the weight of her belief, as if she truly wants her words to reach someone's heart. Standing before a man seated behind a desk, the girl clasps her hands nervously over her chest. Her blue skirt sways slightly as she gathers her courage. The room is filled with a quiet tension, her earnestness contrasted sharply by the calm, almost cold composure of the man before her, whose hand rests lazily on a cigar. The man's fingers reach for a golden lighter resting on the desk. His voice is steady and analytical. "But," he says, his tone betraying no emotion, "I didn't see any attractive details in this script." The words cut through the air, and the girl's heart sinks slightly, her hard work so easily dismissed. Trying to stay composed, she leans forward slightly, her voice respectful yet eager. "So, Mr. Beiming, how should we fix this script so that it can achieve the results we expect?" Her eyes search his face, hoping for a hint of approval or even interest. The man sits comfortably in his chair, exuding quiet authority in his dark suit. The girl, holding the golden lighter delicately in her hand, extends it toward him. The atmosphere grows thick with unspoken tension. Though their actions are simple, there's an undeniable spark between them. A faint smirk plays across the man's lips as he lights his cigar, the flame reflecting in his sharp violet eyes. "Are you enticing me?" he asked smoothly, his tone both teasing and provocative. The girl freezes, caught off guard by his unexpected words and the flirtatious glint in his gaze. Flustered but trying to recover, the girl forces a smile. Add a little more drama, that's also good. Let's consider it a good idea. Anyway, you already said this before. The stories aren't bad either. Her nervousness is obvious, yet there's a trace of determination in her voice. Mr. Beiming looks at her with mild amusement, flipping through the script. Not bad, he murmurs. You should see this. A very beautiful scenery. Romantic. A princess and the general. They should do something. His voice trails off as he imagines the scene, his eyes softening with thought. As he studies the script, the afternoon sunlight filters through the window, casting warm light on the golden pages. His expression grows thoughtful. Not bad, he repeats half to himself. A beautiful scene. Romantic. Perhaps the princess and the general should share something more. His tone suggests more than just a professional suggestion. There's a hint of something personal lingering beneath his words.
The gentle light of the afternoon sun streamed through the large windows, casting a warm glow on the two people sitting in the back seat of a sleek car. The girl, with flowing pink hair and vibrant violet eyes, leaned forward slightly, her expression filled with curiosity and a hint of surprise. She wore a simple white blouse tucked into a high-waisted blue skirt, her posture suggesting that she had just noticed something unexpected. Seated beside her was a man in a dark navy suit, his tie neatly fastened and his demeanor calm and composed. His hand held a yellowed script, or manuscript, which the girl seemed to be studying intently. Her eyes were wide, not from fear, but from something more complex. Perhaps intrigue, embarrassment, or even disbelief at what she had just read. The quiet tension between them was palpable, not in a hostile way, but in the way of two people caught in a moment that could tip into something more personal. The girl's body language leaned toward him, signaling a bridge of interest or a need for clarification, while he remained collected, holding the manuscript like it carried the weight of a secret yet to be revealed. As the scene shifts focus, the narrative turns inward, spotlighting a particular piece of text from the script. The background fades slightly, directing all attention to the spoken or thought words that burst dramatically onto the panel like a sudden realization. The foot of the mountain, the cave, the night, one male and one female is really suitable for intimate scenes. The words drank with both comedic and awkward force. Clearly, the content of the script is unexpectedly suggestive, hinting at a romantic or perhaps outright passionate scene set in a remote, mysterious location. It's the kind of setting where stories flirt with danger, vulnerability, and emotional tension. From the context, it's evident that this sentence has caught the girl off guard. The scene teeters between embarrassment and amusement, creating a perfect setup for romantic tension in the plot. The focus on the man's suit and the girl's surprised posture in the previous image now makes sense. This isn't just a script reading, it's the beginning of an emotionally charged, perhaps even flustered interaction between two very different individuals. The room is quiet and the soft rustle of paper breaks the silence. A pair of delicate fingers carefully opens a book, its pages slightly yellowed with age. There's a sense of anticipation in the air, as if something important is hidden within those blank lines. The word open lingers in the scene like a whisper, marking the beginning of something unexpected. A girl with long pink hair sits by the window, sunlight spilling across her face. She stares at the open book in her hands, her violet eyes reflecting a mix of surprise and unease. At that time, I also thought about it, but I was a bit shy. I didn't expect that he could find out this detail. The breeze outside gently brushes past the curtains, mirroring the uncertainty swirling in her heart.
Her lips curl slightly into a determined smile. She tightens her hold on the book, the hesitation in her eyes slowly fading. "I will fix it tonight," she whispers softly. The sunlight warms her face, giving her courage, as if the decision she's made is one that will change something between them. But just as she is lost in thought, a hand suddenly grabs the book. The abrupt force pulls against her grip. "What I need is not like that," a man's deep voice demands. The sharp sound of the pages pulling apart cuts through the air like a blade. Her eyes widen, caught off guard. The shock makes her heart pound. Her violet eyes flash with panic as she looks up to meet the stern, dark gaze of the man in front of her. His expression is calm, yet unyielding, a silent storm brewing beneath the surface. She can feel the tension thickening between them like an invisible rope. Before she can react, her balance falters. The sudden tug sends her body leaning forward, and she stumbles right into him. Her hair swirls in the air, and their proximity tightens like a trap she didn't see coming. His hand instinctively reaches out, grabbing her waist to steady her. But to her, the touch feels suffocating. "Let me go!" she cries out, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and frustration. Her body stiffens against his grip. Their faces are close now, too close. She struggles, her breath quick and uneven, but he doesn't back down. His sharp eyes hold hers captive. The air between them grows heavy, filled with unspoken tension and the dangerous kind of familiarity. A low, controlled voice breaks the silence. "Say it quietly." He leans closer, his tone laced with a quiet threat. "Do you want them to come in here and see our current situation?" His smile isn't warm. It's a warning. Her heart races. Pressed against the wall, her voice comes out shaky and pleading. "Mr. Beaming, this is school. Please don't." Her eyes glisten with a mixture of fear, embarrassment, and helplessness. The world around them feels distant now. Just them two caught in a moment she can't quite control. A sly smile curls on his lips as he leans casually against the armrest, holding the open book in one hand. His sharp eyes glint with mischief as he lowers his gaze toward her. "You mean," he says slowly, his voice deliberately teasing, "if this isn't school, then we can do it, right?" His words hang in the air, both provocative and unsettling, making her heart skip a beat. She immediately stiffens, panic flashing across her face. Her voice wavers slightly as she tries to explain herself. "You don't need to misunderstand my meaning. What do you want, after all?" But before her words can settle, his reply comes smoothly, with a faint smirk. "Let's study the script together." The contrast between his playful tone and the tension in the room leaves her unsure whether to feel relieved or cornered. His expression hardens as he tilts his head slightly. "You came here yourself. What do you think I'll do?" His voice is calm, but there's an undeniable weight beneath it. He leans closer, his tone low and deliberate. "Moreover, don't you know, this is the school. The door is locked. How do you think this situation looks?" A shiver runs down her spine. The realization of being alone with him in this locked room presses down on her like a heavy curtain. Pinned against him on the couch, she looks up, her wide violet eyes trembling. Their faces are close, too close, her hands instinctively pressing against his chest for space. She can feel the warmth radiating from his body, the slight rise and fall of his breath. The world outside seems distant. Only his intense gaze and the rapid beat of her heart fill the room. She forces a small, nervous smile, her voice light and shaky, as she tries to explain herself. "Mr. Beiming, let me stand up first, okay? Lying like this, it's uncomfortable. I'll feel nauseated." Her words tumble out quickly, a mix of pleading and awkward humor. It's clear she's trying to ease the tension without directly challenging him. Her nervous laugh sounds brittle in the quiet room. Her eyes widen slightly in surprise as he replies simply, "Sure." The sudden agreement catches her off guard. For a brief second, the air between them shifts, and hope flickers in her chest. Maybe he'll let her go after all. But his hand remains, firm and deliberate, holding her waist. His voice drops low, calm and smooth. "If you feel uncomfortable," he murmurs, leaning closer. His grip doesn't loosen. Instead, it becomes an unspoken trap. He straightens slightly, his gaze never leaving hers. "I will massage for you." The words land like a soft but heavy weight. Her body tenses at his offer, realizing he's not letting her walk away so easily. The playful undertone in his voice only adds to her unease. In an instant, he pulls her closer, one arm wrapped around her waist with practiced ease. She gasps, her hands pressing against his shoulders as the world tilts around her. "You," she blurts out, shock and frustration twisting her voice. Her cheeks flush a deep pink, the situation spinning far beyond her control. Their faces hover just inches apart now, locked in a tense, breathless silence. His smirk returns, but this time there's a darker edge to it. "Don't look at me like that," he whispers, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Don't tell me you actually want to know what happens next and face the consequences." Her heart hammers in her chest. She can't tell whether it's fear, anger, or something far more confusing that's making her tremble. With a confident glint in his eyes, he leans closer, his voice smooth and deliberate. "If I were you," he says, "I would definitely take advantage of this chance to entice investors, to fulfill the aspirations your team has longed for." The words are laced with strategy and temptation. But then his tone shifts, slower, heavier, almost personal. "Just, whether this contract is signed or not, I also just want to..." He leaves the sentence hanging, but the intensity in his gaze makes the meaning clear. A close-up of his face reveals the sly curve of his lips. His eyes glimmer with a dangerous mix of amusement and desire, as if he enjoys watching her squirm under the weight of his words. The slight upward lift at the corner of his mouth makes his intentions unmistakable. This isn't just business anymore. This is a game. Her patience snaps. Anger flares in her eyes as she shoves against him, yelling at the top of her lungs, "You let me go!" Her voice shakes, not from weakness, but from the fear and fury that have been building inside her. Her hair whips around as she struggles, desperate to break free. The cry echoes again, sharper this time. "Let go!" Her words pierce the tense silence like a blade, filling the air with raw, unfiltered desperation. Outside, in another part of the building, a woman in a sleek black dress turns sharply toward the sound. Her eyes widen with alarm. "Turn around," she whispers to herself, as she senses that something is wrong. Sunlight streams through the tall windows behind her, but the light does nothing to ease the heaviness settling in her chest. A mocking voice follows. "Ka, ka, how it's going?" It's a familiar tone, one that makes her blood boil. Below, a man appears, and the sight of him twists her expression into one of disgust. "This guy, why do you..." she mutters through clenched teeth, already taking a defensive stance. Her heels click sharply on the floor as she steps forward. Her voice cuts through the air like a whip. "Stop," she commands, her entire body tense and ready to act. Her sharp blue eyes lock on the man before her, the situation escalating fast. But then a voice from within the room calls out, firm and calm, "Let them in." It's a command that makes everyone freeze for a second. The atmosphere shifts. Whatever is happening inside is about to draw more eyes. The door swings open. The woman in the black dress strides in first, her steps brisk and determined. Behind her, a blond man with glasses follows, his expression tight with concern. A suited man stands aside, letting them pass. The air feels thick, charged with unspoken tension. Inside, the room falls silent. The man sits on the couch, composed and unreadable, one hand resting against his chin. Across from him, she sits on the bench, shoulders slumped, her face pale and eyes cast downward. The woman who entered stands at the threshold, taking in the unsettling stillness. No one speaks, but the weight of everything that just happened hangs heavy in the air. Worried eyes meet tired ones. The girl with chestnut hair leans closer, whispering softly, "Kaka, are you okay?" Her voice trembles slightly, carrying genuine concern. Kaka forces a faint smile, her pink hair catching the sunlight from the window. Though pale and shaken, she nods gently, trying to reassure her friend without saying too much. The weight of what just happened lingers heavily in the air. "I am fine," Kaka insists, her voice steadier than she feels. The blonde young man with glasses peers over curiously, his tone calm but attentive. "Kaka, have you discussed the script carefully with Mr. Beiming?" His question seems ordinary, yet it lands with the pressure of expectation. Even the bright morning sky outside can't ease the tension tightening around the group. Kaka straightens her posture, folding her hands nervously on her lap. She glances up at the young man standing beside her and forces a soft reply, "Yes." His hand gently rests on her shoulder in silent encouragement. The light breeze through the window brushes against them, as if trying to lift the heavy atmosphere that has settled in the room. Her mind drifts to earlier. She recalls how swiftly Mr. Beiming had gone through their entire script, just 30 minutes, and yet he gave insightful feedback as if he had known it for years. He finished the whole script in just half an hour, even gave the right opinion? She thinks to herself, amazement mixing with unease. This kind of ability, maybe only a few people in the world have it. The sound of a chair moving breaks her thoughts. Mr. Beiming rises slowly from the sofa, straightening his jacket with calm authority. His voice is measured and sharp. "I finished watching this script, but I still feel unsatisfied." His words slice through the silence, landing on each person like a verdict. The young man with glasses, startled, raises his hand instinctively. His eyes widen as he blurts out, "So Mr. Beiming means..." He doesn't finish the sentence, afraid to jump to conclusions. Everyone's gaze shifts toward the man in the suit, waiting for his next move. Standing together, Kaka and her friend exchange uneasy looks, their bodies tense, unsure of what will follow. Beiming's cool voice fills the room again. "My opinion, I told Kaka already. Wait for her to finish fixing the script, then we'll keep talking." It's not a rejection, but it's not approval either. Turning sharply, Beiming adjusts his cufflinks and strides toward the door. His confident steps echo on the floor, a reminder of the pressure he carries with him. A bodyguard standing waiting by the entrance, silent and imposing, as Beiming's figure slowly disappears down the hall. The blonde man places his hands on Kaka's shoulders with a nervous but encouraging smile. "Please see him off," he says brightly, trying to keep the atmosphere light. But inside, Kaka's stomach twists. This isn't just a polite farewell. It feels like walking toward a storm she's not ready to face. Her lips part slightly. She whispers, unable to finish the sentence. Her heart races as she turns her gaze toward the bright blue sky outside. The wind rustles through the leaves, and for a brief moment, the world outside feels calm and peaceful, so different from the uneasiness weighing on her chest.
The forest stretches overhead, sunlight filtering softly through the thick canopy. The sound of leaves rustling in the breeze creates a peaceful rhythm. But despite the serene atmosphere, her heart pounds nervously. She lifts her gaze toward the trees, a faint shiver of recognition passing through her. "This place," she whispers to herself, as if the scenery before her is a memory she had long tried to forget. They walk side by side along the narrow stone path. He, tall and composed in his immaculate black suit, radiates quiet authority.
She, in her simple blouse and blue skirt, clasps her hands nervously in front of her. The forest feels vast, almost swallowing them whole. Her wide eyes betray her unease, while he moves forward calmly as though nothing about this moment could ever unsettle him. She forces herself to smile, glancing at him with careful politeness. "Mr. Bei Ming," she begins softly, "I still have a bit of work to do, so I can only see you off to here." Her voice is light, but her fingers tighten around her skirt. She hopes her words sound natural, though her chest feels tight. There's a strange weight between them, invisible, but undeniable. Suddenly, a startled cry slices through the quiet. "Ah!" Her long pink hair whips around as she loses her balance, the path beneath her feet seeming to vanish in an instant. For a heartbeat, all she sees is the blur of green trees and the sensation of falling. Before the panic can take hold, strong arms catch her. She gasps, blinking in surprise as she finds herself cradled against his chest. His face is close, too close, and the steady firmness of his grip makes her pulse quicken. "You don't." She tries to speak, but the words tangle in her throat. He only looks down at her, the corner of his mouth lifting faintly. She's gently lowered to her feet, his hand still steady against her shoulder. Her knees feel weak from the near fall, and she clutches her chest, breathing unevenly. Drop down, the sound effect in her mind mirrors her racing heartbeat. He doesn't say anything, but the faint concern in his eyes doesn't go unnoticed. Then, with the calm precision of someone who always knows what to do, he slips a hand into his pocket and pulls out an envelope. His eyes narrow slightly, as if weighing the next move carefully. The wind rustles through the trees, heightening the suspense. He unfolds the envelope slowly. She watches, her lips parting slightly in confusion. What could he possibly have brought out at a moment like this? Her brows knit as she leans closer, her unease growing with every second. Her eyes widen as she stares down at the contents. "How is it possible?" she whispers, her voice trembling. Shock floods her chest, draining the color from her face. Her heart pounds in her ears as if the forest has gone silent, leaving only this moment to echo endlessly. The photograph in her hands gleams faintly in the light. It's a damning image, unmistakable, impossible to ignore. Her fingers tremble around the edges of the glossy paper. Ming-san? How can she be with these two men? The thought slams into her like a cold wave. Whatever calmness lingered in the forest is gone now. In its place is a storm, quiet, heavy, and ready to break. The air trembles with the sound of her voice. Her eyes blaze with fury, cheeks flushed with emotion as she stares up at him. The photograph still trembles in her grasp, a silent reminder of the wound she has just uncovered. You harmed her!" she screams, her voice cracking with disbelief and pain. "How could you? How could you harm my sister?" The words tear out of her chest like a desperate cry for justice. Her pink hair sways as she steps forward, her body tense and trembling. The man stands before her, his tall frame casting a long shadow, his face unreadable, calm, controlled, and distant. The contrast between her burning anger and his cold silence is like fire meeting stone. Her voice grows louder, hoarse with rage and anguish. She clutches at his suit collar as if trying to shake the truth out of him, as if her grip alone could undo what has been done. The paper in her hand crumples slightly as she yells again, refusing to hold back the storm inside. He remains unmoving, his calmness like a wall she can't break through. But she doesn't care. Her heart pounds in her chest, and her words spill out with raw pain. The pain of betrayal, of someone who once trusted, now demanding answers. The distance between them has never felt wider. The man stands tall beneath the shade of the trees, his tailored black suit and calm expression exuding an unsettling sense of control. His voice is steady, almost too too composed, as he looks at her. "If you still don't believe it," he says coolly, "you should watch again how this photo was taken." The soft rustle of leaves contrasts sharply with the weight of his words. There's no trace of guilt on his face, only quiet confidence. It's as if every step of this has been planned. He slowly pulls a phone from his pocket, holding it up for her to see. The device gleams faintly in the filtered sunlight, an ordinary object that now holds the power to shatter her trust. Her breath catches in her throat. She knows this phone. Her pulse quickens as an unwelcome realization creeps in. Her fingers tighten as she stares down at the phone in his hand. This phone? It's a New Year's gift. The one I spent all my savings to buy for Ming Shan, she whispers in disbelief. Her hands shake slightly as she reaches out to take it. This isn't just any phone. This is something she gave with love, with trust. And now it's being used against her. She clutches the phone close, her eyes wide and filled with confusion. The forest around them seems to blur as her mind spins with questions. Her breath trembles. How could something she gave out of kindness become a weapon in someone else's hands? There are many men like this. Ming Shan. How could she... Her voice falters as the reality sinks in. The image she had of her sister begins to crack. Betrayal, shock, and sorrow swirl in her chest like a storm she can't calm. The man tilts his head slightly, a faint smirk playing at the corner of his lips. He says with quiet authority, "Come find me tonight and continue the work that we still haven't done yet." His tone isn't a request. It's a command wrapped in smooth confidence. The sunlight slips through the leaves, brushing against his suit as if nature itself is unaware of the cruelty in his words. He steps closer, lowering his gaze until it meets hers directly. His hand brushes her cheek lightly, a gesture that might seem gentle to an outsider but feels cold and invasive to her. Her body stiffens at his touch. The warmth of the day suddenly feels suffocating. Her eyes blaze with defiance. She lifts her chin, staring straight at him. "Are you dreaming?" She spits out, her voice sharp and fierce. It cuts through the air like a blade. Though her heart trembles inside, her words do not. His smile hardens. The blue night sky begins to fall around them as the scene shifts, the forest fading into deeper shadows. "You should know," he says slowly, "I don't like patience. If you don't come tonight, these photos will appear on the internet." His voice drips with quiet menace, every word deliberate. He's not bluffing. He knows she understands exactly what this means. She freezes, her hands clenching at her side. The threat coils around her like a chain, pulling tighter with every breath. He turns slightly, walking past her with calm certainty. She stands rooted to the spot, her mind screaming for a way out. "Until then," he adds cruelly, "she will suffer, and maybe she will." The sentence hangs in the air unfinished, but its meaning is unmistakable. His tall figure retreats toward the rocky path, his bodyguards silently following. She stands behind them, her face twisted in fury and helplessness. Her fists clench, her heart pounding. The man doesn't look back once, because he knows he already has the upper hand. But she isn't the same frightened girl as before. Beneath the anger, something else sparks quietly inside her, a resolve not to let him win. Her voice bursts out like a sharp blade cutting through the tension. "You evil!" It's not just anger, it's fear, pain, and a growing storm of helplessness. But the man only tilts his head slightly, his eyes narrowing with a dark glint. A cruel smile touches his lips as he replies with calm confidence, "Tonight, I will show you the true power of a devil." His words are a promise, not a threat, sinking into her like ice. The man's smile deepens into something cold and dangerous. His sharp features catch the light, and his narrowed eyes glimmer with a twisted satisfaction. He isn't just enjoying this moment, he's savoring her fear. It's a look that leaves no doubt he is someone who knows exactly how much control he holds. Alone, curled into herself, she trembles. Tears trail down her cheeks, glistening in the dim light. Her soft voice breaks into pieces. Shan, how can she become like that? How can she do such a scary thing? The image of her sister's betrayal echoes in her heart. She clutches her chest as if trying to hold the pain together, but it keeps slipping through her fingers. Her thoughts spin wildly. She will go to school in the following semester. If these photos are leaked out, then... Her breath catches. She imagines the whispers, the pointing fingers, the cruel laughter. A single picture can ruin a life, and he knows it. That's why he's so confident. "I'm afraid I can't get rid of this tonight," she whispers to herself as she stands before the tall iron gates. How can I bet Shan's future? The weight of that thought crushes her chest. She's trapped between her pride and her sister's safety, between resistance and sacrifice. The iron gates loom above her, like a beast waiting to swallow her whole. She stands small and fragile beneath them, clutching her hands to her chest. Her heart pounds like a drum as the world around her darkens. Step by step, her future is being pulled toward a man who enjoys watching her break. Inside the mansion, the butler's calm voice contrasts with the dread tightening her chest. "Mr. Bei-ming is still taking a bath, miss. Please wait outside." The elegant interior, polished wood, soft lighting, feels suffocating, like a velvet cage. She stands before the door, her fingers curled tightly against her chest. Her face is pale, lips pressed together in silent fear. The door seems heavier than anything she's ever faced. She knows what waits beyond it isn't kindness. And yet, for Shanshan's future, she's here. Her whole body trembles, but she doesn't turn away. In the dimly lit room, the girl stood by the door, her fingers clutching her chest as if holding back her trembling heart. Although I really want to run away, she thought, her eyes clouded with pain and hesitation. But the weight of her fear pressed down on her shoulders, keeping her feet rooted in place. Her hand slowly reached for the doorknob, cold metal against her skin. The thought of freedom flickered in her mind, but another voice echoed louder within her heart. "But I don't want Shan to be hurt!" Her resolve wavered, torn between escape and protection. Just as she touched the handle, a chilling voice sliced through the silence. "You just need to take one step out, I guarantee." A pause. "The photo of your sister will be spread on the internet." Her heart stopped. The threat hung in the air like a blade. She turned around. A man stood there, calm and composed, his body still glistening from the shower. Dressed loosely in a white robe, he looked at her with cold amusement, as though he was in complete control of our fate. The sound of wine being poured filled the tense silence. The deep red liquid swirled smoothly into the glass, elegant yet ominous, like blood in the light. The room seemed to grow darker with every drop that fell. With a faint smile, the man stepped closer, his voice low and teasing. "Do you want to bet with me?" he asked, his eyes glinting with a dangerous confidence. The words felt like a trap, one she couldn't avoid. She could only look up at him, his tall figure looming over her, the glass of wine in his hand reflecting the dim light. His calm arrogance made her feel small, powerless, but inside she clenched her fist tightly, fighting the fear that consumed her. His smirk deepened. He said, "If those photos leak out and downloads are less than 1 million, I'll give you 30% of Digua Corporation. How does that sound? Every word dripped with cruelty, his tone mocking because he knew she wouldn't take that bet. Her fist tightened until her knuckles turned white. 1,000,000 times? Downloads 1,000,000 times? Then how can Mingshan continue to live after that? Tears welled up in her eyes, but she held them back. She couldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her break.
In a softly lit room, the girl with long pink hair nervously faces Mr. Bai Ming. Her voice trembles as she begins to speak, trying to find the right words. Mr. Bai Ming, I know that day. You spent a lot of money on that day. But now, this thing... She pauses, her hands clenched tightly together. She takes a small breath, pushing through her fear. This is not related to Mingshan. Could you remove those photos? Okay? Her tone is pleading, almost desperate, hoping he will listen. Standing a few steps away, Mr. Bai Ming leans casually against the wall in a white robe. A faint smirk plays on his lips as he watches her struggle to speak. You're standing so far from me. I still haven't heard what you want to say. Come here. Drink alcohol. The man moves his hand toward a nearby table. A laptop screen glows faintly beside a bottle of wine and a glass filled with red liquid. His fingers rest lightly on the keyboard, an unspoken threat hanging in the air. Those photos are just a click away from being spread. The girl stands frozen by the door, her heart pounding. She clutches the fabric near her chest. Her wide violet eyes reflect fear and hesitation. Worry. She feels trapped. The dark backdrop of the doorway frames her small figure, making her look even more vulnerable. Mr. Bai Ming narrows his eyes, a sly smirk curves his lips as sweat glistens slightly on his temple. His words cut sharply through the tense silence. It looks like you want your sister to suffer what you've caused. His voice is cold, cruel, designed to break down her resistance. His hands hover above the keyboard again, the light from the laptop illuminating his pale fingers. It is also true, he mutters with a hint of mockery. Just the same father but different mother. The words hang in the air like poison, pressing on her heart. Don't, she cries out, unable to contain her fear any longer. Her tone trembles as she takes a step forward. I will listen to you. Just don't let those photos spread out. I'll do whatever you want. Her plea echoes in the room, raw and desperate, as she finally surrenders to his control.
She takes a deep breath, gathering every ounce of courage she has. Her trembling hands reach out and grasp his wrist tightly. The contact is hesitant, but firm, an unspoken plea for mercy. The laptop behind them glows faintly, a silent reminder of the threat hanging over her. His sharp eyes narrow, locking onto her with an unreadable intensity. A small bead of sweat slides down his temple, but his voice is steady and cold. Good, he says simply, as though sealing a deal she cannot escape from. She hesitates, then slowly reaches for the wine glass. Her hand shakes as her fingers wrap around the stem. I drink.
She whispers to herself like a broken chant, forcing herself to lift the glass to her lips. Tilting her head back, she swallows the bitter liquid in a rush. The wine burns its way down, the taste twisting in her mouth, but she doesn't stop. It's as if every gulp is a step deeper into something she cannot undo. The glass slips from her weakening grasp and tumbles to the floor. Crash. The sound of it shattering fills the room, echoing like a cruel punctuation to her surrender. Unsteady, she stumbles forward and falls against his chest. Her cheeks are flushed, her eyes unfocused, but her voice carries the weight of desperation. "Mr. Baimi, I beg you, please help Shun-Shun." She pleads, her words slurred, yet filled with raw emotion. Her body leans heavily into his. The warmth of the alcohol spreads through her veins, clouding her mind. She's no longer standing on her own strength. Drunk. Her frame trembles against him. Her eyes glisten as she looks up, face flushed and teary. She was still a child. She didn't know anything. She whispers, her voice breaking. She's defending someone who isn't even in the room, clinging to what little strength she has left. He looks down at her, sweat tracing his sharp jawline. His expression is hard to read, somewhere between disdain and cold calculation. The air between them is heavy, suffocating. His thoughts turn cruel. Your sister went to bed with so many men. She is no different from a cheap woman. You're so naive. The words ring in her ears like shards of glass, cutting into whatever hope she still held. Then in a low voice, he adds, "So? Fine."
The room falls silent, the air heavy with tension. He moves closer and, without hesitation, sweeps her into his arms. Her small frame goes limp against him, her eyes closed as the alcohol takes full control of her senses. He stares down at her, his expression unreadable, somewhere between cold calculation and a hidden darkness. With a swift motion, he throws her down onto the soft bed. Her hair spreads like silk over the sheets, and she lets out a faint sound, as the impact jolts her slightly. The room seems to grow smaller around them, the atmosphere charged with something unsettling. He straightens his back, his hands slowly moving to his robe. A dangerous, almost mocking smile tugs at his lips. "I will tell you the truth about this life," he declares, his tone low but sharp, as if he's about to rewrite the rules of her world. She opens her eyes, the world around her spinning slightly. Her vision is blurred, her cheeks flushed from both fear and intoxication. She forces out a single, shaky word. "You!" Her gaze locks onto him, confusion and dread mixing in her violet eyes. A faint smirk curves his lips. He tilts his head slightly, watching her every reaction with unnerving calmness. His whisper cuts through the heavy silence. "Smile." Her body stiffens as panic surges through her clouded mind. She lets out a startled cry, "Ugh!" as the situation turns into something she can no longer control. The fear etched across her flushed face reveals her vulnerability completely. The sound of fabric tearing fills the air like a cruel echo. Her hands clutch desperately at what's left, her voice breaking into a scream. "Do not!" The room trembles with her resistance, but the weight of his dominance looms large.
The man's expression hardens, a cruel smile curving at the corner of his lips. He leans in closer, his voice low, but sharp as a blade. "This is out of your control," he says, each word heavy with dominance. His gaze burns down on her, leaving her no space to escape the weight of his presence. A desperate cry cuts through the tension. "Ah, do not!" Her voice trembles, filled with fear and panic. It's a raw plea, breaking against the silence like glass shattering. Her head tilts back, her face twisted in helplessness. Her body trembles as she lets out a weak, pained sound.
The air feels suffocating, as if the walls themselves have drawn closer around her. He looks down at her with a twisted satisfaction. A faint cold smile spreads across his skin, glistening sweat trailing down his skin. His gaze is unwavering, fixed entirely on her fear and vulnerability. Her hands clench tightly against the sheets, knuckles pale with strain. The strands of her pink hair spill across the fabric, trembling along with her. Her grip speaks louder than words, a desperate, silent resistance against what's unfolding. The early light filters softly into the dark room. She lies motionless on the bed, her long hair spread across the pillow like a faint shadow of the night. The blanket clings to her body, a silent witness to everything that has happened. Her breathing is slow, shallow, as if her body remembers the pain even in sleep. Her eyes fluttered open, a faint grimace crosses her face as a sting of pain pulses through her body. "That hurts," she whispers weakly, clutching the blanket closer to her chest. The world around her feels unfamiliar, too quiet, too heavy. Outside the door, distant voices murmur. "She woke up already," someone says urgently. Another voice follows, sharper. "So please wake her up. It's been more than an hour. The boss is still waiting for her at the bottom." The words pierce the quiet room, tugging her further into reality. Two maids stand nervously in the hallway, whispering. "Boss's time is very valuable. How can he waste it just because of this woman?" one says with a hint of disdain. The other nods. "You're right." Their words carry a cold distance. She's nothing more than a task to be completed. "Who's that?" she murmurs faintly, hearing the voices outside. Sunlight streams through the window, drawing sharp lines on the floor. The brightness feels almost too harsh, like a reminder that there's no escape from what comes next. She raises a weak hand to her face, rubbing her tired eyes. The morning light spills over her bare shoulders, and the movement, small, fragile, is the first sign to life after a long, heavy night. "You should wake up," one of the maids calls from the doorway, her voice slightly impatient. "Our boss's mood doesn't look good. Don't make him wait too long." Their words are careful, but the pressure behind them is clear. She slowly pushes herself upright, the blanket slipping down slightly as the soft morning light frames her figure. Her movements are heavy, almost hesitant, as though every breath is an effort. Her hand clutches the edge of the blanket tightly against her chest. Her face is pale, her eyes distant. A voice nearby asks, "What's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well? Do you need me to notify the boss and call the doctor for a medical examination?" The maid with the darker hair speaks sharply, her words laced with mockery. "Does she still hurt? Last time she was played by others and now she got hurt all over again. It's funny. Ching-mei, ask her to go downstairs. Don't let her keep staying in the boss's room again." Their casual cruelty hangs in the air like a blade. One of the maids lowers her gaze as she polishes a wine glass, her movements calm, but her tone sharp. Her words hang in the air like a blade. Another maid steps forward, placing a gentle hand on the girl's trembling shoulder. Her face tightens with concern as she raises her voice toward the first maid. "Lanhua, don't say such harsh words," she exclaims. The girl's body sways slightly, barely standing, her fingers clutching at the edge of the fabric draped over her. The fabric shifts, and a dark, damp stain spreads across it. The maids freeze, their eyes widening as the reality of what happened becomes visible. The silence in the room grows heavier, pressing down like cold iron. "Oh my, too much blood," the maid whispers, her voice trembling. "I can't believe the boss can torment others like this." Her words break into the stillness, soaked with disbelief and quiet fury. Another maid steps closer, eyes narrowing with a mix of confusion and shock. "Bleed? How was it possible?" she mutters. The question hangs unanswered in the air.
The girl turns away from them, clutching the dark fabric around her bruised body. Her long pink hair cascades down her back as she walks toward the window. Her voice is soft, but cutting. "Don't say any more. Clean it up." She stands in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. Her voice trembles in her mind, silent but deafening. "I thought I died last night. I didn't expect to still be alive. But now, I no longer have my virginity." Her pale reflection stares back, fragile and hollow. The fabric slips to the floor with a muted sound. Fall down. The cold tiles bite against her feet, pulling her fully back into reality. Water bursts from the shower head, filling the room with steam. She steps under the hot water, letting it stream down her skin. Her body is still and tense, her hand pressed against the wall as if trying to hold herself together. The sound of the water is the only thing that drowns out the echo of last night. Her forehead rests against the cold wall, tears hidden beneath the water. "Why did my life turn into this?" she thinks, the question looping endlessly in her head, unanswered. Later, wrapped in a soft towel, she moves slowly through the fog-filled bathroom. Her hand brushes against her damp hair, drying it mechanically. Her face is pale, her eyes dulled by exhaustion and silent grief. A slim black laptop sits on the table, its metallic surface reflecting the soft morning light. She stands in front of it in a pale pink dress, her feet frozen. The laptop isn't just an object, it holds something dangerous, something she's determined to face. Her violet eyes sharpen with quiet resolve. Inside her head, a thought forms like a spark. Are all Shansham's photos stored in this laptop? If I can just delete everything. Her heartbeat quickens, not from fear, but from the risk she's about to take. Slowly, she sits down, lifting the laptop lid with careful hands. Her face is calm on the surface, but her pulse drums in her ears. Every movement feels like stepping deeper into something she can't turn away from. The blue login screen flashes to life. Reset your password. She blinks, fingers hovering over the keyboard. For a moment, the simple screen feels like an impenetrable wall. Her fingers move quickly, attempt after attempt. Each time, the same error message glares back at her. Incorrect username or password. The rejection burns a little more with every click of the confirm button. She clenches her jaw, frustration flickering behind her eyes. I really thought too simple, she thinks bitterly. Even if I delete them all, there are duplicates. There will always be another copy somewhere. The weight of that truth settles like cold stone in her chest. For a moment, she just sits there in silence. Her face softens, calm but distant. Her face softens, calm but distant. Her mind is racing, calculating her next move. She can't afford panic, not now. Her hands return to the keyboard. The mouse cord coils against the table as she types deliberately, determined to find a way through this digital fortress. Even if she fails, she refuses to give up without a fight. Morning light streams through the large windows. He sits in the armchair across the room, dressed neatly in a dark suit, reading his newspaper as if the world belongs to him. She stands near the entrance, her hair cascading over her shoulders. Her heart pounds, but she hides it well. She lowers her gaze slightly, whispering her thoughts to herself. Just delete all Shanshan's photos, then the problem between both will be solved. The idea repeats in her head, not as a plan carved in certainty, but as a fragile hope she clings to. Sitting calmly in his armchair, the man held the newspaper loosely in his hands. The sunlight brushed across his sharp features, highlighting the quiet confidence on his face. A small smile played at the corner of his lips as a thought crossed his mind. Didn't expect that this girl was so timid. Yesterday, I'd temporarily lost control. Maybe this scared her. The thought wasn't laced with guilt, only mild surprise and a trace of amusement. The room was wrapped in silence. The sound of porcelain gently clinking against a tray was the only thing that disturbed the still air. The pink-haired girl sat stiffly on the sofa, her hands folded tightly on her lap. A maid knelt by the low table, carefully arranging breakfast. Across the room, the man lowered his newspaper slightly, his cold gaze observing her every move. The paper made a crisp sound as he slowly set it down. His long, pale fingers brushed the edge of the table with calculated leisure. It wasn't a rushed movement, more like a quiet signal that he was ready to speak. "You didn't eat breakfast." His voice carried easily across the room, smooth but edged with mockery. "Could it be that I made you feel full last night, so you can't eat it now?" His tone made her tense. The air thickened, pressing against her chest. A faint smirk curled on his lips as he tilted his head, amusement glinting in his sharp eyes. She is so weak, he thought, his gaze lingering on the way her fingers twitched nervously. Then his voice dropped, colder and more threatening. "If you still cannot eat food here, then we'll go back to the room, get on the bed, and I'll continue to eat you." The girl stiffened instantly. Her face paled, and her breath caught in her throat. I'll eat," she blurted out, panic pushing the words out of her mouth before she could even think. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the bowl in front of her, gripping it as if it were the only thing she could control in that moment. She lifted the bowl close to her face, the warm scent rising in faint curls of steam. Her pink hair brushed against her cheeks as she tried to steady herself, although her heartbeat thudded violently beneath her skin. Gathering what little courage she had, she finally spoke in a soft but shaken voice. "Mr. Beiming, I gave you what you need, so you should assure me that Shanshan's photos will not leak out." The way she clutched the napkin against her lips betrayed her fear. She wasn't bargaining, she was begging. The empty bowl and half-finished food on the tray sat untouched between them. Her legs were pressed tightly together, her posture small, defensive. She was trying to be composed, but everything about her screamed of someone trapped with no way out. His smile returned, this time sharper, more cruel. He leaned back lazily, his fingers tapping the armrest. "Did I say," he asked, his voice smooth like velvet, but cutting like a blade, "that will help you?" The air in the room thickened as her voice rang out, sharp and trembling. Her long pink hair swayed with the sudden movement, and her eyes, wide and bright with disbelief, fixed on the man across from her. "What do you mean?" she cried out, her voice cracking at the edges. It wasn't just a question, it was a desperate demand for an answer she already feared. She pushed herself up from the sofa, her hands clenched tightly at her sides. The words poured from her trembling lips, each one heavy with anger and humiliation. "Mr. Beiming, you did things that made me become like this. How can you break the promise?" The room seemed to close in around her as her voice echoed, fragile yet filled with fire. A cold, almost amused smile curved on his lips as he lifted his gaze toward her. His voice was low, smooth, like silk wrapping around a knife. "I have never said that I sleep with you one night, then I will help you solve it all."
The calmness in his tone made her chest tighten, as if every word was a blow that knocked the air out of her lungs. He leaned back lazily, tilting his head ever so slightly, enjoying the way her composure was crumbling. "Miss Ying Ka," he added, his voice laced with mockery, "I didn't expect your memory ability is really bad." His words weren't just cruel, they were deliberate, each syllable crafted to make her feel powerless. Her fingers curled into a fist so tight that her knuckles turned pale. Her entire body trembled with anger and helplessness. "Bei Ming Yi, you do not do too much like that." Her protest cut through the room like a raw, unpolished blade, desperate, furious, and aching. The tension snapped like a whip. She stood tall, shoulders shaking, her hair flowing around her as if caught in an invisible storm. Her eyes blazed with tears she refused to shed. Across from her, he remained seated, relaxed, untouchable, as if her pain was nothing more than background noise. Her rage and his cold indifference collided silently, creating a storm that neither of them voiced aloud. He leaned back in the chair with the kind of composure only someone in complete control could possess. Sunlight poured through the large windows behind him, outlining his figure with an almost chilling elegance. A faint, knowing smile curved on his lips as he spoke. "You really love your sister, don't want to let her suffer any hurt." The question was soft, but behind it there was a dangerous edge. He wasn't asking for an answer. He was cornering her. His legs were crossed, hands resting lightly on his lap, the picture of calm authority. His silence now was louder than words. The weight of his question lingered in the air like a noose tightening slowly. Her lips trembled as she lowered her gaze, the emotions swirling inside her, threatening to spill out. Her eyes softened with a mix of pain and fierce protectiveness. Slowly she nodded, a silent surrender, a silent plea. "Mr. Beiming, she's still young, just less knowledgeable than others." Her voice grew softer, desperate. I will teach her well later on, please." On the other side of the room, the man's smirk deepened, amused by her helplessness. "Your taste is really not bad," he remarked casually, as if toying with her fear. The tension thickened. His fingers tapped lightly on the armrest, a quiet reminder that the power was in his hands, not hers. Her wide, anxious eyes looked up at him, searching for even the smallest sign of mercy, but all she found was cold amusement. In that quiet, suffocating moment, she realized just how much he enjoyed watching her bend. As the scene opens, we find a young woman standing still, her long pink hair cascading down her shoulders, slightly trembling. She wears a mustard yellow top paired with a black skirt that reveals a matching yellow accent underneath. Her hand is raised slightly, tense and unsure, as if she's just heard something that threw her off balance. The background blurs in a soft gradient, focusing all attention on her. A speech bubble appears, capturing her inner turmoil. What does he mean? The confusion is written all over her body language, subtle yet deeply emotional. She seems caught between fear and curiosity, clearly shaken by the words of someone off-panel. Suddenly, a hand reaches out from the edge of the frame, strong, assertive, grabbing her by the wrist. The impact is illustrated with sharp white lines bursting from the center of the action, emphasizing the intensity and surprise of the gesture. It's a moment that stops time for a second. The woman doesn't resist yet. Instead, there's a stillness, as if she's too shocked to pull away. This gesture marks a sudden turn, a shift from uncertainty to confrontation. Now face to face, the woman is pulled close to a tall man with dark, neatly styled hair and a composed yet intense expression.
He sits calmly, almost arrogantly, in a high-backed chair while she leans toward him, visibly distressed. Her hands press against his chest, trying to maintain some distance, but their proximity says otherwise. Her eyes are wide with frustration and desperation as she demands answers. Her voice, captured in the speech bubble, trembles with emotion. What do you want after all? Mr. Beiming, tell me your condition if you want me to pay. Her words hang in the air like a challenge, defiant yet pleading. Meanwhile, Mr. Beiming meets her gaze with a slight, unreadable smile, as though he's fully in control of the situation. The tension between them crackles, thick with unresolved emotions and unspoken truth. In a dimly lit office, the atmosphere grows heavy as a man in a navy blue suit sits on a leather couch, holding a woman tightly on his lap. Her pink hair cascades down as she leans into him, her expression unreadable. Her legs drape across his lap, indicating both vulnerability and the imbalance of power between them. There's no need for words in this moment. His grip on her waist and the intensity in his posture hint at a conversation loaded with tension and unspoken intentions. Now, facing each other more closely, the man gently but firmly lifts her chin, forcing her to meet his gaze. His tone is calm, but his words cut deep. 20 billion. How long do you think it will take you to pay all this money? His eyes search hers, not with concern, but with dominance. Behind him, sunlight streams through tall windows, contrasting sharply with the emotional darkness settling in between them. The woman stares back with worry and disbelief. The amount is staggering. The question is not just about money, it's about control. Overwhelmed, the woman pleads, "Give me some time. I will try to find a way to pay it." Her voice is desperate, clinging to any hope she might have left. But the man quickly dismisses her faint optimism with a chilling suggestion. "Which way do you think you will try to use? Or let me show you a way, okay?" He doesn't wait for an answer before delivering the final blow. "Become my woman until I get bored of you." His words are laced with authority and desire, turning her financial desperation into emotional bondage. The trap has been set, not just with money, but with manipulation. In a quiet, dimly lit room, a man gazes down at the young woman before him with the look of calm confidence, his eyes locked onto hers with a subtle but undeniable intensity. The woman sits nestled in his arms, her back turned to the viewer, revealing her long, pinkish hair cascading down. His expression is gentle, almost seductive, yet there's a possessive undertone that suggests he knows she can't easily escape from him. The close physical proximity between them creates an air of tension and vulnerability, leaving the woman seemingly caught in an emotional whirlwind. The scene shifts to a more emotionally charged moment. The young woman now sits alone, visibly distressed. Her large violet eyes are filled with anxiety, and her brows are furrowed in confusion and disbelief. Holding a hand to her chin, she mutters to herself, almost in protest, "No, even if I die, I don't want to either." Her inner conflict is clearly tormenting her, a mix of defiance and helplessness. The backdrop fades into dark tones, emphasizing her emotional turmoil and mental exhaustion as she struggles with the aftermath of what happened. Her thoughts echo louder now, laced with fear and disbelief. "Last night, just one night, he made me look like this. If he always does that every night, I would definitely die." These haunting words reveal the physical and emotional impact the man has on her, something overwhelming and possibly destructive. Then his voice cuts through the haze of her thoughts, chilling and calm.
If you want to die, it won't be so easy. The thing is, think carefully. If you die, my mood will not be good. Until then, your sister and your dad." His manipulative words are a thinly veiled threat, implying that if she harms herself, others she loves will suffer. It's a powerful moment, blending psychological pressure with emotional vulnerability, leaving the girl in a state of fear and submission.
Under the soft lighting of the room, a moment of intense intimacy unfolds. The man, sharply dressed in a dark blue suit, exudes confidence and control. He gently lifts the woman's chin with his fingers, bringing her face closer to his. His eyes, cold yet mesmerizing, lock onto hers with a possessive intensity. The woman, dressed in a mustard yellow top, appears stunned, her wide eyes staring into his as if caught off guard. Her lips are slightly parted, as if unsure whether to speak or retreat. There's a strange tension in the air, hovering between desire and discomfort, as though this closeness is both thrilling and dangerous. The silence is suddenly shattered. The woman's expression turns from shock to fury. Her voice rises sharply, cutting through the air like a blade. "Bei Mingyi, you're truly a bastard!" she screams, her face contorted with anger and betrayal. The moment of forced closeness has turned sour, igniting a storm of emotion within her. She lifts her hand in a dramatic motion, the lines around her indicating movement, fast, aggressive, and filled with rage. It's a slap in the making, fueled by all the pent-up frustration and indignation boiling inside her. This is not a woman who will be toyed with. The tension reaches its peak. The woman, now fully enraged, yells at Bi Mingyi with unrestrained emotion. Her body is twisted toward him, her mouth open mid-shout, as she forcefully throws her arm forward. Her pink hair flows wildly behind her, echoing the motion of her slap. She's no longer frozen in fear or confusion. This is defiance. Her hand, just moments away from striking, is a declaration of resistance. Meanwhile, Bi Mingyi's hand is still lingering near her face, perhaps trying to stop her, or simply caught off guard by the sudden outburst. The scene is charged, raw, and powerful, a moment where control shifts dramatically.
The air is tense. In an instant, a hand shoots forward, gripping the girl's delicate wrist tightly. The sound of the sudden movement cuts through the silence like a whip. She freezes. The force in his grip is firm, almost commanding. Bright streaks of motion blur around them, emphasizing the swiftness of the hold. His voice is low, but carries an unmistakable threat. "Don't be messy," he says, his eyes sharp and unyielding. "You should know, if you dare hit me today, you'll never know what kind of consequences your loved ones might face." Each word falls like a blade, slicing through the last bit of defiance she tries to muster. He leans closer, his expression twisting into a sly, confident smile. His hand remains clamped around her wrist as his cold gaze locks onto her. She looks small and cornered in front of him, as though every step she takes is already decided for her. His presence is overpowering, leaving no room to escape. A sharp command echoes through the room. "Bring it here." His tone is not a request. It's an order. Around them, the air seems to grow colder, heavy with an unspoken pressure. A man in a black suit kneels on one knee before him, holding out documents and a pen with both hands, his head lowered respectfully. The atmosphere is formal and tense. This is not a casual transaction. It's business, cold and absolute. The man in the suit reaches for the documents. His expression remains calm, almost indifferent. "It's fair to say," he begins slowly, his tone laced with a chilling confidence, "you made me lose 20 billion. Now I may not be so kind to your dear Shan Shan sister. His hand presses down on the paper as the word hold resonates again, a reminder of who has the power here. He hands her the document and leans back in his chair like a king watching a subject kneel. Read this covenant carefully, he warns, his voice low but full of mockery. Otherwise, you'll think I'm bullying you again. An ordinary person would never get a price like this. His smirk is infuriating, as if he's savoring every second of her helplessness. She clutches the papers with trembling hands. Her eyes widen in shock, her face growing pale as the weight of the words on the page sinks in. Her body shakes slightly, not from the cold, but from the fear and humiliation coursing through her veins. Her thoughts scream in disbelief. 10 million for a night? Does he really expect me to thank him for this? The number burns in her mind like fire. The injustice, the insult, the cruelty, all of it crashes down at once. The chandelier above glows softly, almost mockingly, as if the luxurious setting contrasts cruelly with the darkness in her heart. The world around her is opulent and cold, a golden cage where her choices have already been stripped away.
From above, the scene is almost tranquil, but the reality beneath that calm surface is far from gentle. The man sits back on the sofa, his posture relaxed yet authoritative. The girl is seated on his lap, a paper trembling between her fingers. The world outside shines through the large glass windows, but inside, the air is thick with silent pressure. His hand rests possessively around her waist, as if reminding her that every choice she makes is already under his control. His grip tightens slightly, not enough to hurt, but strong enough to make his dominance unmistakable. Her knuckles turn white as she clinches the contract, her body tense, almost leaning forward, trapped between fight and surrender. She dares not meet his gaze. Her heart pounds as the weight of the situation presses down on her chest. His voice breaks the silence with a chilling casualness. 20 billion, he says, almost amused. It's not that I can't pay you, it's that you're not even qualified to ask for it. Dongling is my territory. And then, with a cruel softness, he adds, you don't have to pay, but think about your loved ones first. The threat is veiled, but unmistakable, like a blade hidden beneath silk. Tears glimmer in her eyes as they widen with a mix of fear and desperation. Her lashes tremble, and a single tear almost spills over. She wants to speak, to fight back, but her voice is caught in her throat. The room feels colder than before. He looks at her with that same calm, almost bored expression, as if discussing something trivial. You wanted my help. Because of that, I lost 20 billion in public. I'm a businessman. Losing capital, that's the one thing I never forgive. A smile, thin and sharp, curves on his lips. If you can't pay this 20 billion, he leans closer, his tone low and deliberate, then I'll let your relatives pay. So think carefully, little one. The words coil around her like chains, soft in sound, but impossible to break. She lowers her head, her long hair hiding her expression. Her shoulders tremble slightly. The proud fire in her seems dimmed, replaced by the helpless weight of her situation. She's cornered, not by walls, but by his power. Hey! A voice cuts through the tension. Her body stiffens as someone else enters the room. The man remains relaxed, almost amused, his arms still casually around her. Without a hint of concern, he tilts his head lazily and gives an order to the newcomer. Tell those guys we won't interfere in Shanshan's case anymore. They can do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with me. The decision, cruel and effortless, seals someone else's fate.
The subordinate, dressed in black, bows respectfully with a firm "Yes, sir" in response. The order has been given, and like a domino falling, the consequences are already in motion. The man leans back in his chair, confident and untouchable. She sits beside him, small and silent, knowing that her life and the lives of those she loves are now dangling from a single thread he holds. The air between them grew taut like a drawn bowstring. Her hands pressed firmly against his chest, her voice breaking into a desperate cry. "Don't!" she shouted, her eyes wide with panic and defiance. For the first time, she dared to resist him openly. He didn't flinch, only narrowed his eyes slightly, his composed demeanor a chilling contrast to her trembling frame. Outside, the world was quiet, but inside, a storm was already raging. She turned, attempting to break free, but before she could take a step, his hand shot forward and caught her wrist. "Hold," he murmured coldly. His grip was strong, unyielding, and her momentum was abruptly stopped. The sudden pull sent a shiver down her spine. She felt trapped, like a bird caught mid-flight, wings clipped by invisible chains. The struggle only brought her closer. In one swift motion, he pulled her into his lap, his arm encircling her waist like an iron band. Her body stiffened, panic flashing in her eyes. His scent surrounded her, cold and overwhelming. She could hear his heartbeat, steady, calm, while hers thundered frantically in her chest. Panic, the word wasn't spoken aloud, but it hung heavy in the air, written all over her trembling frame. Somewhere beyond the door, a voice echoed urgently. "Call him come back! Call him come back! Quickly!" It was a distant cry, desperate and hurried, as if someone realized too late what had just happened behind those wooden doors. But the man had already stepped away, his tall figure disappearing through the half-open door. He carried a folder casually under one arm, as if the chaos he left behind was nothing more than a minor interruption in his schedule. The hallway swallowed him in silence. She could no longer hold herself up. Shaking, she leaned into him, her forehead pressing against his chest. "I agree with you," she whispered, her voice quivering. "I agree with you, The words tasted like defeat, falling heavy and bitter from her lips. She hated herself for saying them, but the weight of fear left her with no choice. A low chuckle escaped him as he looked down at her trembling form. "Who told you to be headstrong?" he taunted softly, his voice brushing against her like a blade in silk. "You even dared to think about hitting me?" His tone wasn't angry. It was amused, dangerous, cruel. Her fingers tightened against her own palms, nails biting into skin. Tears streamed down her cheeks in hot, silent trails. "No, I won't dare to do so anymore. I will always obey you from now on." It wasn't a promise. It was a surrender, a shattering of the last piece of pride she had clung to. He smiled then, a slow and cold curve of his lips. I don't believe the words from your mouth. Sign that contract, and I'll warn those guys immediately." The threat was clear, yet dressed in velvet. He wasn't asking. He was commanding. Her hand trembled as she took the pen. The paper beneath her seemed to burn through her soul. Every stroke of ink was another piece of her freedom being stripped away. "Yes, yes, yes," someone said faintly in the background. A phone call, perhaps. "Those photos definitely won't be spread out. We won't bother Shan anymore. Peace." But she knew there was no peace in this. Only a deal with the devil, who had already won. A sharp-looking man with dark purple hair and piercing violet eyes holds up a sleek black phone with a confident smile tugging at the corner of his lips. The emblem on the phone glints under the light, a symbol of power or secrecy perhaps. His demeanor is calm, calculated, clearly someone in control of the situation. With poised assurance, he delivers his words. "You don't need to worry anymore. Peace of mind, sir." Off-screen, another voice responds without hesitation. "All right, you can be assured." The tone is serious. Something has just been set in motion, something that will not be easy to undo. The scene shifts to a young woman with long, flowing pink hair and shimmering purple eyes, now welling with tears. She clutches a thick blue folder to her chest as if it's the only thing anchoring her in this moment. Her golden yellow turtleneck stands in stark contrast to the sorrow clouding her face. The atmosphere is heavy, almost suffocating. She gazes ahead, not at someone, but into a future she can no longer avoid. Her thoughts are loud despite her silence. From now on, I can only... It's the kind of heartbreak that doesn't scream. It aches quietly, deeply, irrevocably. Her hands tightened around the folder, knuckles white from the force. The camera pans downward, revealing the fine details of her belt and the resolute stance she's trying to maintain. But her trembling fingers betray her. A white flash splits the panel, signaling a turning point. Her inner voice continues, with resolve building through the pain. Become. It's the moment right before transformation, the kind that's born from sorrow, the kind that changes someone forever.
Tears gently slide down from her closed eyes, shimmering like fragile crystals in the light. As they fall, they ripple across the water's surface, glowing faintly under a radiant beam of blue light. Her heart aches with the cruel truth. She has become nothing more than a toy that only obeys him. The sorrow of that realization weighs heavily, sinking into the depths like her fading hope. The scene shifts to the water itself, clear, endless, and glistening beneath the sunlight. Tiny sparkles dance across the surface, like fragments of forgotten dreams. The sea is calm, but beneath its beauty lies silence. The kind that hides loneliness, the kind that swallows pain whole. A luxurious yacht glides through the waves, its sleek body cutting through the blue expanse with effortless grace. On its deck, sunlight spills like liquid gold, and a white umbrella shades the lounging chairs below. Everything about the scene speaks of wealth and tranquility, yet the air feels heavy, as if serenity itself has turned hollow. A soft breeze flutters the striped sails above, stretching them against a sky painted with delicate hues of blue and white. The yacht drifts peacefully, but the tension between the two people aboard could still the wind itself. Under the shade of the sail, a young woman in a yellow dress sits quietly beside a man. Her head is bowed, her pink hair falling over her shoulders like a curtain of sorrow. The man, composed and expressionless, sits with his arms folded, his gaze steady, cool, and unreadable. Between them lies silence, so thick it could drown even the sound of the ocean. The girl lifts her eyes slightly, her violet pupils shimmering with confusion and unease. Her thoughts drift toward the man beside her. He kept it that way for an hour. Could it be, doesn't he feel tired legs? Her inner voice trembles between curiosity and fear, unsure of what kind of person could remain so composed for so long. Her hands tighten unconsciously on her lap, clutching the fabric of her yellow dress.
The sunlight catches on the small heart and bow patterns scattered across the cloth, symbols of innocence that no longer match the turmoil in her heart. She forces herself to remain calm, even as her pulse races, trapped between obedience and the desperate wish to be free.
Time drifts slowly beneath the warm sunlight. The girl, wearing a soft yellow dress and a straw hat, rests her chin thoughtfully on her hand. Her violet eyes narrow slightly in amusement as she watches him. Although it has been an hour, not a single fish has taken the bait, she muses inwardly. So there are still things he can't do after all. A faint smile plays on her lips, part teasing, part curious, as she continues to observe him. Without warning, his calm voice cuts through the gentle sound of the waves. "Come here," he commands firmly. Startled, the girl blinks, her body stiffening. "Sir?" she stammers, not sure what he means or what he wants from her this time. The serene atmosphere suddenly feels charged, as if the breeze itself has paused in anticipation. He doesn't turn to look at her. Instead, his broad back remains steady and composed as he adjusts the fishing rod in his hand. The sunlight glints off his crisp white shirt, outlining the strength in his posture. The girl, still seated behind him, looks flustered, unsure whether to move or stay still, her heart thumping with a strange mixture of confusion and curiosity. His voice comes again, low but unmistakably firm. "Come here to fish with me." The words make her freeze for a heartbeat. Fishing? With him? Her lips part slightly in disbelief, her mind racing as she processes his unexpected invitation. "Ah!" she gasps softly, the surprise evident on her face. Her wide violet eyes shimmer with a mix of shock and hesitation. The sunlight reflects off them, turning them into two trembling gems. She looks at him, then at the fishing rod, unsure how to react. He actually wants me to join him. She wonders silently, feeling an unfamiliar warmth rise within her chest. Finally, she stands and approaches him, her yellow dress fluttering gently in the breeze. He sits relaxed and composed, a faint knowing smile curving his lips as she moves closer. Without looking up, he adjusts his grip on the fishing rod, calm, confident, as though this moment was inevitable. She stops beside him, close enough to hear the quiet rhythm of his breathing, her heart racing in time with the sea.